Bloop, bloop, bloop. Hello, everybody. Hope you can hear me. Give me 1 second. I'm still doing a couple things. Beer Water is first on YouTube. Nice to see you. Nice to see you. Glad to have you today. We got a lot to talk about. I'm going live a little later than I normally do. Had a few things I needed to take care of today, so I had to start a little late. But we'll be going a little later than I normally do as well. We have LetheWaterKai and Sociologic Ali that will be joining us at 8 p.m. Eastern tonight. So in a little less than an hour from now, we're going to be talking about the Pro Palestine activists versus the black community. Fun, but we'll get to that. We got some other things to do before then that I wanted to discuss, to bring to your attention, to talk about. Look, so a lot of people ask me, right? Hey, how do you choose your topics? What do you decide to talk about? Like, what is it that makes it so that a topic or a idea gets brought forward on your show for like a panel or what have you? Honestly, gang, it's whatever catches my attention, whatever I find interesting, whatever I look at and I'm like, you know what? I want to talk about that. I have thoughts, I have opinions, and I want to discuss it. Or I want to hear more about it. Or I want to see more people talk about it, to bandy about ideas, right? So either I have strong thoughts and opinions on it, or I think it's interesting and people have thoughts and opinions I find interesting on it that I want to kind of discuss. Obi-Wan Kenobi. That's kind of what a streamer has to do to enjoy their work. Yes. And gang, like, look, not every day is a great day as a streamer, but I generally enjoy doing this. I would do this even if I wasn't a streamer. Like, I would talk to people. I would bandy about ideas. I would have these kinds of discussions. Luckily, I'm in the position where I can do so for all of your entertainment as well, my dears, my dear viewers. So welcome. Pull up a seat. I'm going to give you a little bit of time to kind of get in here. Again, I know I'm a little later than I normally am, so, take your time. Cancel the Communist says, Wick, it's a travesty that you didn't get a press pass and a flight to the DNC. Is what is. I don't know if I would have enjoyed going to the DNC. I would have enjoyed meeting all the people, getting to see everyone, right? Getting to talk to all the folks. But really what these conventions are their hype shows, right? They're there to hype the candidate, and they're there to hype the crowd and get them all excited to kind of it's an advertisement is what it is. I don't know. I'm not really watching it either, to be honest with you. I'll tune into the main events. Like I'll watch Kamala's speeches and I'll watch Biden's speeches and things like that. But most of it, I don't know, it's not my thing. Ninth of Day says Wick for president. Unironically, yes. Unironically, I would make the best president, okay? If Trump could do it, I can do it, okay? Simple. I can make these calls. I can make these decisions. I absolutely put you, my dear viewers, first. Wick viewers would get to be the elite class. I would elevate you. I would be nepotistic as hell and make sure that all my panelists got top cabinet spots. I would hold panels and I would hold debates and I would have you all compete to be the best cabinet spots that I could possibly get. Okay. I would make sure that we let the free market decide, the marketplace of ideas decide whose ideas get to reign supreme. That's what I would do. That's what I would promise you. Silverhand, nice to see you. Welcome to the show, gang. Welcome to the show. Yeah, we got a lot to talk about tonight, like I said. We're going to get to it. Don't worry. God, the Republican debates sucked without Trump. Such a drag, and I'd rewatch those over rewatching the RNC. The debates were fun. I mean, they were fine. I enjoyed watching them. I watched them live. If you guys remember, we went on Kick for those because we didn't want to get copyright struck. But I enjoy the debates. At least there's some interest there. But yeah, the conventions are just advertisements. Look, and I was thinking about this the other day, just how much of the entertainment out there, it's just ads. It's disguised ads, okay? They're pushing ideas, they're pushing products, and this isn't new. This has been the case for a while. I don't know. It's just always wild to me how many people get really into it, get really attached to, again, what are in effect advertisements. I don't know. American Ninja Warrior, but winner runs the Fed. We'd make it the economics edition. Okay, we would have similar challenges, but we would make it a competition. It'd be fun. Have you watched Terrifier yet? And this is from Beerwater. I have not. I haven't been able to watch much. My free time has kind of been spent playing Octopath Traveler 2. I played the original. It was fine. I like 2 much better. I like the story a lot better than I did the first one. The first one I didn't really grab me, didn't really draw me that much, so I kind of put it down. But the second one, I don't know what it is about it, but it's really drawn me in. I think the story beats are a little tighter, and they are a little more, or at least they seem to be more connected and leading to something in a way that I'm sure happens in the first one. I'm sure it does, but it just wasn't grabbing me yet when I put it down. So here it was. Night of Day says the conventions are pure distilled cringe. Doesn't matter the political party. I mean, yeah, kind of like most advertisements are. It's just kind of not my thing, like I said. Cameraman 502. Have you watched Twisters yet? No, I have not. Nothing will beat the 2016 Libertarian Convention. What? The Libertarian Convention? What happened there? Anything interesting? Anything of note? I'm not getting the reference. Like I said, I don't really watch conventions. So, yeah, it is what it is. Man, oh man. Okay, so I guess we should probably get started. What do you guys want to talk about first? We can either look at some of the back and forth between pro-Palestine activists and the black community, or we can wait a little later to do that till closer to when Ali and LetheWaterKai are going to join us. Or we can talk about my thoughts on Trump's comments on the Medal of Honor winners. I saw the clip. I saw JD Vance's clip about it, and I got thoughts. The VFW has thoughts. A lot of people have thoughts. And given that we just talked about Tim Walz and veterans' thoughts on his, what's the word for it? The accusations against him, I thought it might be interesting to discuss how Trump views the military and how Trump views that kind of thing. It might be interesting, but we'll get to that. I also wanted to discuss the draft. A lot of people don't like the draft for pretty good reasons. However, I think the draft is actually a good thing. Hot take, I know. I think that it is well, maybe good's the wrong word. It is a useful thing. It is a necessary tool, if you will. Hopefully we never have to use it, but it is better to have it if we need it than not have it if we don't, if that makes sense. Groom Jr. says Destiny is doing an Israel-Palestine debate on the Modern Day Debate channel at 7 p.m. Okay. That's now. if you meant Eastern. I mean, if that's what you want to watch, by all means. Not gonna watch that. I don't know. Like I said, I don't really watch other people's stuff unless it's involving me. I much prefer to be a participant in these things. I much prefer to sit down and join in. I don't watch much sports for the same reason. It's not that I don't like sports. It's that, again, I'd much rather play. I'd much rather play than just sit and watch and observe. But that's me, right? Nairsock says, should Democrats still be pushing Trump as a danger to democracy like Hilldog was doing? When is it a Democrat's duty to stop dividing the nation? They can't just blame Republicans while doing it themselves. So there's something to what you're saying, Nair. I think that there is this tendency of all sides to catastrophize, to make it so that if the enemy wins, if the other side wins, the worst possible thing will come about. And to play on people's fears and to play on people's ideas of Armageddon, to drive people out, to drive people to the polls, to get them to actually act and vote. And I think this happens all across the board, right? Kamala's going to take your guns and destroy your civil liberties, and we'll all be living in communist America, right? You hear this constantly from Trump and from his cronies, right? All the time. Gang, I promise you, that's not going to happen. On the other hand, you hear from people how if Trump gets elected again, that will be the last election we ever have. There'll never be another vote. It'll be a fascist dictatorship as far as the eye can see. And gang, that's also unlikely to occur. It's just not going to happen. But yeah, it's one of those things where, like, it's not that there is nothing bad about the other side, right? So both sides can make an argument that the world would be the nation would be a worse place, right? Legislatively, and just in general, with the other side winning. But in order to make the case, they overplay their hand in almost every instance, right? And so they are always just being as extreme as possible. It's the same reason everything's a fascist now. Everyone's a Nazi now. Same reason, right? Because you can't just have someone who is doing a bad thing. They have to be the worst possible type of bad thing that you could possibly be. And this is something that has happened over and over again for many cycles now. Many cycles. It has become even worse, at least in modern days. Like, look, we're not talking the 60s or anything like that, where obviously there was a lot of political division as well, to rival today's. But in the last 20, 30 years, in my lifetime, let's say, in the last 40 years, these last 3 cycles have been some of the most divisive that I've seen. And is largely due to the amplification effects of social media, and also the fact that traditional media has become more and more amplifiers of these extremists and these extreme catastrophized ideas. But yeah. Okay. So I got distracted. I was asking you guys to tell me what you wanted to see me do first, but I think Toby-Wan Kenobi said something about wanting to watch the Trump clip on his remarks on the Medal of Honor. So let's do that. I'm going to play the clip, okay? Then I'm going to play J.D. Vance's defense of the clip, and then we're going to talk about it. And then we're gonna discuss it a little bit because I think it's worth discussing. Okay, you guys ready? Kings and queens? Get this thing done. Let's have some fun. Let me make sure I got the right screens on. I think I do. Bloop, bloop. Can you guys see it? Everyone sees Trump's little face there with the Israel flags and the American flags. Everyone's tracking. Okay. Hopefully you guys can hear this. If you can't, let me know, and I'll adjust the volume. Let's see what he has to say.
I have to say, Miriam, I watched Sheldon sitting so proud in the White House when we gave Miriam the Presidential Medal of Freedom. That's the highest award you can get as a civilian. It's the equivalent of the Congressional Medal of Honor, but civilian version. It's actually much better because everyone gets the Congressional Medal of Honor. That's soldiers. They're either in very bad shape because they've been hit so many times by bullets, or they're dead. She gets it, and she's a healthy, beautiful woman. And they're rated equal.
What do you think, gang? What do you think? He's come under fire for this. He's come under a lot of flack for these comments. Do you find this disrespectful to the veterans who are in my audience? And there's a couple of you. Do you find this disrespectful? I'm going to give you my thoughts in a bit, but I want to hear what you think first, right? I want to hear your thoughts first. Play it again. You missed it. Okay, we can play it one more time.
I have to say, Miriam, I watched Sheldon sitting so proud in the White House when we gave Miriam the Presidential Medal of Freedom. That's the highest award you can get as a civilian. It's the equivalent of the Congressional Medal of Honor, but civilian version. It's actually much better because everyone gets the Congressional Medal of Honor. That's soldiers. They're either in very bad shape because they've been hit so many times by bullets, or they're dead. She gets it, and she's a healthy, beautiful woman. And they're rated equal.
They're rated equal. They're rated equal. Okay, so full disclosure, I don't have either of these medals. I don't personally know anyone who has received either of these medals. And one of the reasons I don't know any Medal of Honor recipients is because it's so difficult to obtain. As Trump alluded to in his remarks there, it is awarded, it's the highest military award that you can get, and it is awarded for extreme acts of valor and bravery. There's a few requirements for it, actually. Let me read a few of the requirements. If someone wants to get a Medal of Honor, this is what they got to do, okay? An act of bravery. The act must be an outstanding display of personal bravery or self-sacrifice that goes above and beyond the call of duty. It must occur while the service member is engaged in an action against an enemy of the United States, a foreign opposing force, or a friendly foreign force in an armed conflict where the U.S. is not involved. The risk of life. The act must involve the service member risking their life. And the act must be confirmed by at least 2 witnesses. And this was established in 1963 during the Vietnam War. It's a huge thing. It's a big deal. It's one of those things where if you get it, you've earned it. And a lot of people earn it posthumously after they're dead. It is such a high honor. And veterans take these kinds of things very seriously. And this is like one of those awards that everyone respects the recipient of. Everyone thinks that as a veteran, if I meet a Medal of Honor recipient, that's a big deal. These are a big deal. Let's hear what J.D. Vance says, okay, about this. Let's hear what he says about Trump's remarks. You guys see him? Hope so.
We'll do one more then.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Senator. I wanted to ask you, Trump has been getting attacked from his comments at the press conference yesterday about what he said about the top military honor. And veterans have pointed out, he said that the civilian presidential honor is better than what wounded veterans have received. And I wondered, what do you say to veterans who think that's demeaning?
Well, look, I was with a group of veterans in Pennsylvania yesterday, and trust me, the veteran community is very, very much behind Donald Trump. So, look, what I would say to people is, look, what President Trump said during a ceremony, and I haven't seen the entire remarks, but my understanding is President Trump said during a ceremony that a person who received the Presidential Medal of Freedom, he was saying some nice things about her. He was saying some complimentary things about her. Donald Trump, I've seen give out a Congressional Medal of Honor. I've seen him give out a number of awards and commendations to military veterans, and of course, I myself am a Marine Corps veteran of the Iraq War. This is a guy who loves our veterans and who honors our veterans. I don't think him complimenting and saying a nice word about a person who received the Presidential Medal of Freedom is in any way denigrating those who received military honors. They're two different awards, and I think the president was saying some nice things about a person that he liked, and that's a totally reasonable thing to do.
So I didn't get that from what Trump said. I think that J.D. Vance here is trying very, very hard to spin this as something it's not. Do I think that Trump... Well, J.D. Vance said something else there that I found interesting, that veterans stand with Trump. Well, let's hear what the Veterans of Foreign Wars, the VFW, has to say about this. And I'll read this out. They released a statement on these remarks. And this was released on August 16th in 2024. And it's from Al Liphart, the VFW National Commander. Okay. So what he says, on Thursday, former President Donald Trump spoke at an event where he made some flippant remarks about the Medal of Honor and the heroes who have received it. In the video that is circulated online and in the media, the former president was recognizing Miriam Adelson in the audience, who he awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom during his time in office. As he described the medal as a civilian version of the Medal of Honor, he went on to opine that the Medal of Freedom was, quote-unquote, much better than the military's top award, because those awarded the latter are, in his words, either in very bad shape because they have been hit so many times by bullets or they're dead. He continued by comparing Miriam to Medal of Honor recipients, saying, she gets it, and she's a healthy, beautiful woman. They are rated equal. These asinine comments not only diminish the significance of our nation's highest award for valor, but also crassly characterizes the sacrifices of those who have risked their lives above and beyond the call of duty. When a candidate to serve as our military's commander-in-chief so brazenly dismisses the valor and reverence symbolized by the Medal of Honor and those who have earned it, I must question whether they would discharge their responsibilities to our men and women in uniform with the seriousness and discernment necessary for such a powerful position. It is even more disappointing when these comments come from a man who already served in this noble office and should frankly already know better. While the Presidential Medal of Freedom may be our nation's highest civilian award, the Medal of Honor is more sacred as it represents the gallantry and intrepidity of courageous and selfless service members, often at the cost of grievous wounds and even their lives. It's because of our Medal of Honor recipients that great Americans like Miriam Adelson have the freedom to live to their fullest potential and make such lasting contributions to our great nation. We would like to remind Mr. Trump that the 12 times he had the honor of awarding the Medal of Honor as President of the United States, those were heroes not of his own choosing. He bestowed those medals on behalf of Congress, representing all Americans of a grateful nation. We hold the donation of their lives and service to our country in the highest esteem, and so should he. So the question is, what do veterans think? And I think that those who haven't been ideologically captured by MAGA echo these sentiments. Medal of Freedom's great. It's great honor. But the only reason people can be awarded that honor is because of the sacrifice made by those who have received the Medal of Honor. Okay. They're not the same. They're not equal. And it is disrespectful to equate the two, I think. And disrespectful to be so flippant as the Liphart says here about the sacrifice of these individuals. That's my thoughts. That's what I think. But what do you think, gang? What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts? Okay. Wick, are you taking call-ins? Yeah, if you guys want to call in for a little bit. Are you really surprised? As Trump, he's not well spoken. I mean, fair. And look, it's not like the. And here's the deal: if the only issue had been these remarks, if this is all Trump had ever said, and he flubbed this one as he was trying to compliment someone, that would be different. But Trump has said shitty things about veterans before, right? Suckers and losers, I think, was the term that one of the generals overheard him say. He's also made remarks denigrating John McCain. He likes heroes that weren't captured, I believe was the term he used. Again, this just shows a pattern of being willing to disrespect the armed men and women of the military over and over again. If you go against Trump, it doesn't matter your service record. If you go against Trump, you could have every medal in the book. He does not care. He does not honor that sacrifice. He does not respect that sacrifice. He does not care. It's all about him, and it always will be about him. And this is why I think he would be a bad steward of the United States military. Again, it's one of those things where look, I don't like Tim Walz either. I don't like his comments either. But Trump ain't better. Okay? Only Mr. Bill says want to play all the times Trump properly saluted service members versus Biden's flippant hand waves? Properly saluted. And then he goes, well, he only properly salutes the ones that he thinks support him. I guarantee you he did not properly salute, right, John McCain or any of those people who he had issues with. I guarantee you he didn't. I guarantee you any veteran who goes against him, any military member who denigrates him or speaks out against him, he will not be respectful to. He does not respect the uniform. He does not respect the position. He just doesn't. He just doesn't. You can argue that Clinton didn't either and Biden didn't either. Fair. Cool. But we're not talking about them today. We're talking about Trump. So if you are trying to argue that Trump is going to be a respecter of the military, the evidence just ain't there, kings and queens. It's just not there. Who wanted to call in? Hey, you're live. Hello.
Hello.
Hey, you're live. What's up?
Hey. So, are we doing the draft thing or what? Because I saw the note.
Do you got thoughts on the draft? We're going to get to it. There's a couple things I wanted to get to. Okay. But yeah, go ahead. What are your thoughts on the draft?
I mean, I generally don't support the draft. I think conscription is cringe. No offense to our lovely people in Israel. And so I would not be in favor of bringing it back. I also think that since it doesn't exist in practice, we should eliminate the selective service. And the double standard there is cringe. So like either eliminate it or women should be required to register for it as well. But that's kind of my baseline.
I think women should be required to register for the selective service. And I think, as I said before at the beginning of this thing, that I think that like while I don't like conscription, right, or I don't like the selective service, I don't like the draft, I think it is a useful and necessary tool to have in case we need it. If we get to a point where we do need to utilize the draft, it is better to have a system in place that can utilize the draft. And perhaps another hot take, I think that if we require women to also sign up for the selective service, I think it has a twofold benefit. One, I think that equality is good in general, and we live in a modern military situation where you don't require as much strength, you don't require as much stamina, and there's plenty of positions and duties that can be and are fulfilled even today by women of the United States Armed Services. So I think that rectifies an injustice that men have to face by having women be also required to do their duty in this way. But the second thing that I think, perhaps tangentially, but equally importantly, I think that if we required women to sign up for the selective services and we implemented the draft at some point, that it would have the added benefit of solving the population crisis. Let me explain. Okay? So we require women 18 to
I can't wait to hear this.
18 to 25 to be drafted. Okay? Obviously, they have to be medically sufficient to be drafted. Like, they have to be okay to be drafted, like without any underlying medical conditions. Look, the amount of pregnancies that would occur of women who are trying to dodge this draft, the population spike would be enormous. Okay? It would be enormous. So we solved that problem. The women are out there begging to get pregnant, okay? Young women, 18 to 25, just begging to be impregnated by men, okay, to get out of the draft. I think it's a win-win. We have equality, and we solved the baby shortage. Boom! We did it! You're welcome.
You are a genius. No,
I
mean, to be fair, I think the whole birth rate thing is also like overstated and often leads to cringe areas. No offense. Like, I think the real, ironically, you're close to it in a weird way. It's like, I think the birth rate thing that people talk about is only relevant insofar as a proxy for the metric that's actually significant in people's lives, which is sexual health, including like, are people actually getting in relationships? Are they falling in love? Are they getting married? Like, I don't actually care about how many people are being born. I think what matters is like, hey, why are millennials and Gen Z like literally sexist losers? That's kind of cringe. And it's men and women, by the way. It's more dudes, but like that's the thing I'm worried about because like I don't want a society of monks, right? That's my more like pressing concern. But yeah.
Well, what's wrong with monks, though, right? Like, look, what's wrong with... Look, there's... Hell, hold on.
Some of my best friends are monks. Yeah.
There's value. There's value in celibacy, okay? Voluntary celibacy. There's value in that.
Oh, boy.
There is.
Okay, vol cells, yes. Sure, okay.
I'm not talking
maybe.
people
but
who
like,
want it and can't get it. I'm talking to people who
okay,
choose
sure.
to...
Vol cells, not incels.
Yeah. Vol cells, they're fine. I think there's nothing wrong with that. And in fact, I think there's something to be said for it. I think that choosing to forego that kind of thing and concentrating on self-improvement, concentrating on bettering your community, concentrating on a host of other things other than just trying to get your dick wet.
Getting laid. You can call out getting laid. I do that. I get laid. What the hell? But I mean, I hear you. I would say that really it relates to kind of like the crisis in the youth. Like, are the kids all right? Are the kids all right? Like, if kids are feeling disassociated from each other, if they're having weird just reactions to sex and like sex in media, sex scenes in TV and film, and just like, that's gross. It's like, okay, maybe, but also like, why are you so hung up about like this natural thing that people do, right? When a man and a woman, or a man and a man, or a woman and a woman, or three people in it, like when they love each other very much, they do the thing, and that's healthy. So.
Sure, but you mentioned something there that I'm curious about, because you're correct that a lot of Gen Z especially has kind of become outspoken against gratuitous sex scenes in media and movies and TV shows and things like that. That wasn't always the case. I remember growing up, it was almost a rule of thumb that every first episode of a season on HBO or Cinemax or anything had a gratuitous sex scene, and it was put in there almost as a rule. That they're moving away from this. I don't see that as a bad thing, though. It was always cringe to me watching the gratuitous sex scene, especially because I would watch movies with my family, like my mom, my dad, And you're sitting there, and nothing's more awkward than saying, "Hey, you guys want to watch the Game of Thrones? You guys have never read the books, but I'm excited to have read the books. I want to show you guys Game of Thrones. I want to let you watch this show." And then there's just straight up porn.
Clark's.
Straight up porn. Okay, and you're sitting there, and your mom like gives you the look like, "What are you making us watch?" And you're like, Look, we'll fast forward through it. We'll get to it, right? But yeah, it's just.
I hear you. So I mean, I'm not totally like against some of the changes in culture. You know, I'm an artist, I'm a writer myself, so I don't tend to write a lot of these scenes in my scripts for whatever that's worth. But I think more broadly, just the sexlessness of the culture is what I'm concerned. So again, I bring it back to the when you mentioned the birth rate. Like, I'm not concerned with the birth rate. If the birth rate was like, 1.9, but people were fucking like crazy and just using protection, that would be a better society than the birth rate is like 2.5, but it's only like Mormons and fucking,
What's wrong with Mormons? Mormons are some of the nicest people I've ever met. I'm a former Mormon. Okay.
I know. Former Mormons are cool. Regular Mormons are cool. I'm just saying, like, I don't care about a high birth rate and a low sex rate. I care about sexual reproductive health being normalized across the races and the creeds and the religions. That's what I care about. I want the kids to be all right. That's what I care about.
No, I agree with you. I think that I wouldn't even say sex is the thing. I just want them to have normal, healthy relationships, of which sex is a part. But more and more, they seem unable to do so. Unable or unwilling, I'm not sure which.
100%.
But there is this idea that the other sex is the enemy, and this has been kind of promoted both from rad fem spaces as well as from red pill spaces, and I think it's a problem.
Cringe. Yes, they're both cringe. I've said before, from an egalitarian perspective, that we should not buy into these self-flattering notions that our gender, quote unquote, as guys, or our gender as women, is the better gender, the fairer sex, and the other gender is just these weirdos that we tolerate, even though they're a deformed version of us, right? Yeah, it's cringe either way.
It makes such good rage bait. So I don't know if you saw this on Twitter. Okay, I don't know if you saw this on Twitter, and it's obvious.
I'm always on Twitter.
It's obviously rage bait. It's from Liz Wheeler. Okay, and she made this tweet, and she links a graph in it. Okay, here, you know what? Actually, let me pull it up on the screen. Give me a second. Give me a second, gang. Give me a second. Let me.
You're vamping. While you're doing that, I will vamp. But yes, I'm always on Twitter. I live on Twitter. I'm an overly online millennial. I saw the thing with Paulina before you commented on it. It was yes, and I was I saluted, because that is my kind of patriotic representative. I like to see that. I told you on the timeline. I was like, listen, man, I'm not even here for the Coomer stuff. I literally just want politicians to be young and healthy, because politicians being old and decrepit is cringe. So if it means we have to get more politicians.
Okay, you're so wrong on this. Look at the young politicians that we have on options. There's a reason, right? In TV shows, AOC, movies.
The next president of this country, my pill.
Yeah.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Look, if that happens, I'll eat my hat. Okay. But look at the.
Oh, okay.
Look at the.
We'll take a bet. We'll do a custodial.
But look at the.
It's gonna happen, whether you like it or not.
You're getting me distracted. But here's what I want to say about the age thing, right? I think that the denigrating our elders, as has become popular to do, has become a thing. Oh, they're too old. Everyone's geriatric. Everyone's too old to do these things. There's a reason we don't let young people into power. Have you seen some of the young, organizations that let young people into power? Look what happens to those organizations. Look how they perform. Look what they do. It generally does not go well. And I will point to media as well. We have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of stories where the young people don't listen to their elders, and they cause chaos. Nazism was a youth movement, okay? They were tired of the geriatrocracy as well. They didn't want all those olds telling them what to do. A lot of the more extreme, violent movements out there are youth movements, are movements that are led by the young. So, no, I think that just because someone is old doesn't mean they're unqualified or unfit to serve. In fact, I see experience as a pro in that side. So I just disagree with you on this.
So Godwin's law fallacies aside, you've already lost the argument. But no, I mean, I will say this, right? My thing on the whole, like, young people are cringe or young people are going to screw it up, or like look at the Boberts or the other young people in Congress. It's very simple. If we made it so the norm was you literally can't serve beyond a certain age, we would just have more young people in the pipeline. And as a result, it would normalize. We'd get some cringe people, we'd get some less cringe people, but we would know that we literally just cannot have 80-year-olds. We cannot have like 75-year-olds, or the cost could be somewhere like in between those two. But we would have people who are just like of an age when not literally demented, and then if they have to be like more in that middle age range of like 45 to 60, that's fine. That's fine. I'll take it. But like not geriatrics, please. By the way, do you understand? Joe Biden literally is not a boomer. He's older than a boomer. That's the problem. He's so old, he's not a boomer. Anyway, go ahead.
So this idea that they're all demented after 70 or 80 is just not true. I think it's a something that we use to attack the other side when the other side is older. And this has been going on for a while. Yes, age can be an issue, right? It absolutely can. But I don't think that age in and of itself is the issue. It's the things that come along with it. And like I said, I would rather a Joe Biden than a Vivek Ramaswamy or a Boebert or Marjorie Taylor Greene or J.D. Vance or any of these other young politicians out there who I think would be just worse. Just worse overall.
I listen, as much as I think J.D. Vance is also cringe, I'd probably take either of the two VP candidates over Joe Biden at this point. I would definitely take Kamala Harris. I would not take Trump because he's disqualified in my mind. But I would take a lot of people over Joe Biden at this point, to be honest.
Shit. Hopefully I didn't link anything crazy with those.
So, what? Sauce? Did you put sauce on the screen?
I just opened my Discord. I forgot I had this thing. Anyway, let me read this rage bait. We were talking about gender issues, okay? We were talking about gender issues, and I wanted to read this rage bait.
Mm-hmm.
I do have some guests coming on in about 12 minutes, but we can talk till then. So I saw this tweet. It's by Liz Wheeler. She shared this graph. It says, this is 100% true. Men playing video games is peak unattractive, beyond red flag, like deal breaker zone. It's weird that so many dudes don't get this. And then she lists this graph, okay? This very suspect graph, which rates different, I guess, attractivity of different hobbies that men can have.
I saw this, yes.
Yeah. So playing video games, more unattractive than online trolling, than gambling, than taxidermy, than bird watching. Look, I don't believe this information, first and foremost, but online trolling, who even lists that as a hobby? Who's out there listing that as a hobby?
Are you saying that not everything on the internet is true?
I know,
Wick?
It's crazy.
What? This is the first time I'm hearing this.
But this does point to something that I've heard for a long, long time, and that is something that plenty of women do actually say, is that men who play video games are just a turnoff, right? And we have World of Warcraft widows and other people who have become hateful.
Warcraft widows.
Yeah, Warcraft
Jesus
widows,
Christ.
Right?
Oh my God, the cringe.
The destruction of their marriages on video games. It's a real
thing. Then we could talk about like dead beds on the male side, but yeah, I mean, like, again, this is the thing. It's like alienation based off of like gender chauvinism, which women are like complicit in. Women can be gender chauvinists, surprise. So it's just a matter of like understanding that people are different. Like, I don't know if you know this. I used to be a dating coach, by the way. But like, one of the things I would tell people is you should allow for the possibility that your partner is going to be different from you and is going to have different interests. And as long as you still can have a like cohesive, healthy relationship, just like make space for that. Like, I think sometimes that stuff is overblown because they're like fixated on how like they're not doing a thing together. And it's like, okay, you can be away from them and like you watch a movie, they play video games, or they watch a movie, you play video games, or whatever.
It's like they
watch
lack
a movie.
object permanence. If they're not in the room, they don't exist, right? Okay, it's this weird
Yes,
thing. No, I
yes.
agree with you, and I think that too many people look for shared interests when what's more important are shared values. I think shared interests are nice,
Ding 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 ding.
but
Yes.
it's the values that are going to get you through it. It's the values that are going to get you through the tough times when you're bored, when you're just not having fun anymore, when the spark, quote unquote, is gone. Yeah, it's a big thing. Michael Smith says, so is Palestine DNC discussion debate happening later tonight, or yeah, at 8 o'clock, so in about 10 minutes. We're going to talk about it. Don't worry. I promise. It's getting there. But yeah, it's about 10 minutes, 8 o'clock. So don't worry. It's when my guest could get here, so it is what it is. But we're going to see Quinn here tomorrow, aren't we? I think.
You are. I will never cancel on you, Wick. Unlike those dirty commies and traitors and fascists that cancel on you all the time, I will never cancel on you. You're my number one.
Oh, I appreciate the lie. But look, in all seriousness, like if someone's at the hospital, go deal with that, right? There are good reasons to cancel and there are bad reasons to cancel. If your house is on fire, deal with that. Real life comes before my show, and that's what it is. Now, if you can make it, please do, but just FYI, if like, don't feel like you're a prisoner, okay? That you've signed a contract and you must or else. But yeah, I do appreciate you being willing to come on. So
I agree. I meme, I check. It's funny, right? Like people are like, you're depending on how they catch me, it's like you're so serious. Or like why are you like why are you like this? And then other times, like right now, I'm having a fun, freewheeling conversation. Obviously, I have a sense of humor. It just depends on like the vibe. But yeah, of course, I'm being hyperbolic. If you have something important, do what you need to do. But I just know that I've seen it. Like before I even was like in your back channels talking to you, I've literally seen you talk about people canceled or like I had to like improvise. So it gets to a point of like, hey, what are we doing here, man? Like you're if it's Twitch streamers especially, like, you're an overly online like internet personality. You don't have like emergencies every week. You know what I mean? But whatever.
It is what it is. Like I do tend to prefer people who are reliable. That's just it. But thanks for calling in, buddy. I'm gonna let you
No
go,
worries.
and I'll see you tomorrow.
Back to the void. See you tomorrow.
Bye. Bye. Bye, Quinn. Nice guy. I'm curious to see what he says tomorrow. We're gonna be talking about the state of the race tomorrow. Should be fun. Okay. So I guess we should probably get started on this Palestine and black activist civil war, for lack of a better term. Before I bring my guests in, and I see one of them at least backstage, and we'll get to you. Don't worry, Lethy. Nice to see you. Thanks for coming by. But I wanted to let my audience watch a video. It's a short video. It's about 4 minutes, a little longer. Just to kind of get an idea of what I'm referring to here when I say civil war, to kind of give you the idea of what I'm talking about. So I'm gonna put this on screen. We're gonna watch it, and we'll see what you have to say. Okay, we'll see what you have to say. Because I saw this, and it tracks with other things that I've seen and heard and talked to with varying people. It tracks, and so I thought, okay, well, we're gonna do a show on this. So here we go. Okay. Like I said, tell me if you can't hear it.
I know you've existed. Yeah, I did.
In recent days, American Palestinian content creators started an online attack against the black community for their stance on domestic issues and for voting for Kamala Harris.
Black people also wear a uniform and get on a plane and come to our countries and kill us. You vote the same melanated people into government that signed papers to kill us. I don't want to hear it anymore.
What have you done to change your government? I don't think crying on your phone is an example. What narrative are you pushing by showing black soldiers in the Middle East being told that we should put our issues and lives and rights behind everybody else's, including Palestinians? I don't want to hear y'all tell us to put ourselves last. I'm sick of it.
The way you all switched up 180 on Palestinians and people who are Palestinian activists, the second we have a black woman run for office is disgusting.
Keep Palestinians' names out of your mouth when you're trying to defend your decision for voting for Kamala.
I'm starting to see a lot of these videos coming out, and I feel like someone really has to speak on it, so I'm going to. The genocide in Congo has made 8 million of victims.
He's saying Palestinians, and he just doesn't listen.
This video, coupled with all of the other Palestinians and their disrespectful and denigrating videos towards people like me, I'm done. So the money that was coming out of my bank account every month to help Palestinians over in Gaza, yeah, that's going to stop. And I'm going to redirect those funds to help the people over in Congo.
Kamala Harris is 100% more culpable for this genocide than Donald Trump is.
You know what? At this point, I will happily take it out of my bio.
Just throwing that out there that Kamala Harris is more culpable than Trump for. Okay, sorry, that just thrown in there. Anyway.
No, because if that's really how y'all feel, as if Donald Trump gives a damn about Palestine, fine, I will take it out of my bio. I will never speak about it ever again. Trust me, I will never speak about it again.
Something that has been cultivated in the pro-Palestine spaces. But in the last week, we have seen a lot of folks who have talked the talk about global solidarity completely renege on all the values that they have been saying they stand for.
If I bring up like a black issue and someone's like, oh, people of color, I said black. Black. Because other people of color don't even like us. Liberals weapon.
Black. I can't say that. I just anyway. Carry on.
Anti-blackness to defend the US empire, all because they want a token ethnic president, who, by the way, was an ex-cop.
And like, what's even crazier is that earlier people were like, oh, these are bots. No, this is how people really feel. And she made a video. That's a real human being that feels exactly that way. These aren't bots. These are people that feel like they are entitled to the support of black people no matter what. That they get to push us around and tell us who the hell we get to vote for if we support them. As if that means we're supposed to just not give a damn about ourselves in order to show our allegiance to supporting them. They've lost their minds.
You guys keep bashing white people for slavery. But why don't we ever talk about the Arab slave trade and keep in mind that the Arabs have enslaved more black people than the Europeans combined?
When it comes to the people...
Damn, we need to step up our game, white people, I guess. They're just putting us out of jobs here. Like, we're not going to be the people that everyone hates anymore. Weird.
Who we are supposed to be defending over in Palestine, guess what? Those same communities treat us with voracious racism. And you're asking us, don't look at them. Don't look at our racism. Don't look at our past history and how we've treated your communities. Help us, save us, be there for us. But guess what? When we need you guys, no one's standing up for us. When we have gone through this oppression for the past 400 years, why didn't any of you come racing on boats to come and help and save us? It don't take 400 years to get from Palestine over to America to stop the genocide that was happening to us for 400 years. It does not take 400 years to stand up for black Americans and stand in the line of fire with us. It doesn't take for you to have simple human decency when your businesses are allowed to thrive in our neighborhoods, when they were burnt, beaten, and torn away from us. We spend our money with you. We stand in solidarity with you, and you keep asking for more and more and more, and it's never enough. Because I don't want to hear, oh, we was there for 2020 because that was a cute little trend. But guess what? 3 months later, it was over. Y'all wasn't bringing down Starbucks and McDonald's and Kellogg.
Well, I don't
Okay. What are our thoughts here, gang? A lot of people are saying that this is astroturfed, right? That this is all just noise that has been put front and center to distract from the real issues. I don't know that's true. I don't think that's true. This isn't something that I've just now started to see. This is something that's been kind of bubbling beneath the surface, but now has kind of erupted in a real way. But tonight we're going to be talking with LetheWaterKai and Sociologic Ali about this, as well as the protests at the DNC that have occurred. So let me bring my guests on, and yeah, we'll have that discussion. Hello, you're live.
Hey, what's going on, Wick?
Hey, let me turn you up a little bit. You're a little low.
Let me get my camera on for you.
Hopefully, Sociologic Ali will be here soon, and we'll discuss this. But while since you're here first, what are some of your initial thoughts? Right, we just watched the video. What do you think?
The Black community in America, since civil rights, has been calling the connection with Palestine a solidarity. Our civil rights leaders have fought for Palestine and mentioned them. We've people like Muhammad Ali have marched on their behalf and gone to Lebanon to meet with PLO leaders. Jesse Jackson's done it. So, like, we have a history of being on their side. Now, all of a sudden, they want to call it a trend when we've been doing it for damn near 100 years. Like, come on. They can miss me with all that.
Oh, I mean, they would say, though, that you're abandoning them to stand with domestic issues. And I think one of the more emotional ladies in there said that you guys were also colonizers, that you were also elected those melanated freaks. I guess that's me. I'm not sure what that means, actually. But it's wild. And once Ali gets here, I know he's getting dinner. He's going to be a little late, but once he gets here, I want to get into it.
I hope you brought enough pizza for everyone.
Yeah, I know. Look, him being selfish once again. That's all I'm going to say. But can you give us some, like, have you had any experiences with the pro-Palestine community or anyone denigrating you or coming after you or anything like that? Or is this something you just saw online?
I've just had my own personal experiences with Arab people, and some have been good, some have been bad.
Can you share a few of them? Give us some examples.
So I want to say, back in, 2007, 2008, I was a business owner. And the reason why I was able to get the lease on the location that my business was in was because of a Lebanese friend of mine. But he's a younger dude, like, very nice dude, worked with him before. And him and his father talked with the owner of the building to help us get the lease. He basically gouged us for the entire time we were there for the cost of the lease. And then for some odd reason, the Vietnamese business owner next door to us, along with the Arab gas station owner across the street, would call the cops on my business almost weekly to try to shut down my events.
Wow.
So there's also a fraught dynamic between Black people in America and Arab business owners. Like, it's definitely not a mutual situation between our communities.
Do you think that what's going on in Gaza right now, do you think that's exacerbating tensions between these communities?
Honestly, it's one-sided, I want to say again, because we've shown our support as we always do. Now, all of a sudden, because we don't want our country to fall apart, we're against them, when in reality, the administration coming in is far more beneficial than the administration that was in 2020, 2019, 2017. Like, the Trump administration was called the best friend of Netanyahu. Like, what isn't an upgrade at that point? So at any time, you can cut off your own nose to spite your face. I mean, what am I going to say?
What am I going to say? $2 from Fates, and we'll say that, and we'll get there in a second. But I wanted to give the floor to Ali here. Thanks for joining us. and kind of just introduce yourselves, give us some initial
Let me get my
thoughts.
camera on.
I don't know if you've been
What is
watching
up,
this
guys?
at all, right?
Yeah, I've been seeing you.
Okay.
So what's up, guys? I go by Sociologic on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube. But you can just call me Ollie for shorthand. I'm actually going to be holding my people accountable on this a little bit. I'm a little bit pissed off on my side. So I kind of wanted this to be more of a discussion than a debate anyways. So I understand what's going on the pro-Palestinian side and like the animosity. I disagree with how it's being handled. So I can leave it there and then.
Yeah, I want to. Yeah, I'm definitely down for kind of getting to the root causes, getting to the what's actually going on, why this is happening, why it's such an animosity. And Fates for $2 asks a good question actually, and I want to talk about it for a minute. He asks, do you think this issue is a purity spiral? What do you think, gang?
What's a purity spiral? I'm not
okay.
big
Let me
terms.
explain what a purity spiral is. So the general idea, and I'll be general about it, I won't use specifics for this, is you have a cause, you have an idea, you have a goal, right, that you want to reach. And in order to get there, you want to build a community to get there. And so you invite as many people in as you can. But the problem is, in order to get power and influence within that community, you want to signal to everyone how much you care about the goal that you're trying to reach. And to do that, sometimes what happens is you trigger what's called a purity spiral. So people will be like, well, I support the cause the most. And in order to show you that I support the cause the most, I'm going to be very extreme on this cause. And anyone who doesn't agree with this extreme take that I have on this cause is not really part of our group. They're not really part of what we want to do. And they're not part of our movement, and we should drive them out. And this has an effect of creating this spiral, because someone else who also wants influence and power within the group will come and say, well, that's nice and all, but I'm willing to go more extreme. And I think that we should do this instead. And if you don't agree with me, then you don't really believe in this cause. And it's spirals, and they become smaller and smaller and smaller as they get more and more extreme on their goal. And yeah, that's what is called. So again, the question is this a purity spiral?
You can start off first, man.
Oh, it absolutely is a purity spiral. What I'm seeing from some of these activists online is saying that if we are not in solidarity with the Palestinian cause as they feel we should be, they would, like this one dude said, I would rather vote for Satan than for sanity. To give us the repercussions we deserve over being willing to vote for Kamala Harris. When
I think all that's
saying,
just been ridiculous.
Yeah, when you say take, support for Palestine out of your bio because you want to vote for Kamala Harris. And as I've heard today, there's talks of a ceasefire already. Like I don't know what they're expecting from the Black community when we've been in solidarity the whole time. And it's not a two-way street in this case. Like I don't know beyond tweets and other basic information they've given us when we go through riots ourselves, what the Palestinian community has done for the Black community to even deserve or have earned the level of solidarity beyond us knowing that we don't like seeing another oppressed people.
Oh, honestly, that's about it. So what I've seen through this whole like Palestinian conflict issue is honestly, the Black community, especially on TikTok, it'd be like the younger generation, the Zoomers seem to be like really getting on it. It's all on TikTok. All of them had the charity links in bio. They were working really, really well hand in hand with the pro-Palestinian movement. And it was honestly amazing to see. So from what I understood from like all that I've gathered, it was like one comment or a spree of comments that started this whole thing, which was like there was one of the creators is a Black creator, and she was sharing that she's voting for Kamala, and then a commenter said, "Well, if you're voting for Kamala, take the Palestine out of your bio." And this is kind of what started this whole like discourse. From what I understood, it wasn't from anyone major, but then all this discussion, all this talk led to a live with a creator who honestly I do not think should have ever been like, I think she ran with this whole pro-Palestine thing because she is Palestinian and she thought it was a way she could garner like following And I do think like a lot of people did kind of throw this under their wing, which when like what's happened. So she goes on live with the creator, and she was kind of over talking her. She muted her a few times. There was a large issue. I think what we're, and I might not be answering the question, I might just be giving my opening, so my bad. But I think like what like the pro-Palestinian side needed to realize, especially at this time, that like saying that you're not going to vote or you shouldn't vote for Kamala specifically for this is like no politician is going to necessarily be good for Gaza in our eyes. I'm not gonna sit here and lie to you. I don't care if there was talks of a ceasefire. I don't believe a ceasefire is coming, nor do I believe that the ceasefire would be coming from Kamala or Trump for that matter. I just don't believe any politician at this point, like the president, is going to be doing anything necessarily for Palestine. I do think it is like they're just like generally the government is pro-Israel. But we live here, unfortunately. We live in a country where we're able to like protest, voice our concerns, do whatever we need to do. And so I think we should have understood that, like, especially in the Black community, when a Black person is running for president as well, that there's an incentive also for you to vote for your interests. And I don't see how there was like any expectation for you not to vote for Kamala. And I don't like the over talking. I don't like the whole like racist backbiting that's going on of like, oh, well, Black people have done this, this, and that to us. When to be fair, no, you guys have, I do think that there's been a whole lot of support. But I think there's a lot of fear coming from the pro-Palestinian side. I think a lot of Arabs and Muslims are like, they're seeing what's happening, whether it be in the UK, like Europe, over here. And there's like this weird push to like, against us as like a super minority. So it does feel weird when someone's like voting, like during this time they're like sharing the candidate that they want to vote for, right? And this is my only like issue with the Black side. I don't think this would have been an issue if it wasn't Kamala. If it was Biden and people were saying, well, don't vote for, I don't think it would have been this much of a back blow.
Coming from whom?
From anyone. I think if it was like if there was a creator and they had Biden and they were showing support for Biden, and then the pro-Palestinian side or any side was like, well, if you're putting like that you're voting for Biden, take pro-Palestine out of your bio. I don't think it would have been this big of a backblow.
See, I didn't want to think that's what it was, and that's making it even worse. The fact that it's a Black woman causing this backblow is what makes it all.
She's not the one who caused the backblow. I'm just saying that I don't think there would have been this much of a discourse. I don't think there would have been this much of a discussion. I don't think it would have gotten into like racial like divide. I don't think the Democrats would, especially like the progressive Zoomers on like TikTok. I don't think they would have defended Biden in the same way that they're defending Kamala. And I understand why they are, and it makes complete sense. I just don't. That's all it is.
Just to be clear, you think that because the Black community is going with solidarity with a Black potential female president, that they are defending her in a way that they wouldn't Biden because she's Black?
I mean, in this instance, yeah, when it's like a Black woman running for president, of course.
Okay, what are your thoughts, Lethe?
I don't particularly think that's the case. I think most of the Black people that were going to vote on the Democrat ticket were already going to vote for Biden or for Kamala either way. The Black community is not a monolith, so I'm not going to say, there aren't Black supporters of Trump, but that's not the majority of the Black community. So either way it goes, it was going to be the Democrat ticket. With that,
I was talking specifically about like this discourse, not the entire Black community. And regardless, like obviously they would be voting blue. I'm not saying that they wouldn't be voting blue, that people were backing with Biden. I'm saying the like defense of the candidate or like why they're voting and so on and so forth. I don't think would have been this much of a backblow. I think it would have been more understanding if Biden was still in the running. I think people would understand why, would be a little bit more understanding to the comment made. Versus like now it's a little bit more defensive.
And when comment made, you say the comment you're referring to take Palestine out of your take pro-Palestine out of your bio if you're going to be supporting this ticket. You think people would have been more understanding of that comment, and there would have not been this discourse. It wouldn't have gotten as blown up. Well, what
once
are your
again,
thoughts,
I'm still
Lethe?
blaming my side.
I sincerely think it's just the fact that they made the comment to take it out of their bio is what caused the division between the Black activists and the Palestinian activists. Had they never said anything like, don't support us if you're supporting X, it never would have happened, regardless of the candidate.
And I think if it was don't support us, if you're supporting Biden, it would have hit a little different, and it would feel a little different. And I think once again, the defense would be different. Once again, I still think once it's my side that I'm holding incorrect to this. Sure. The only thing I have judgment to the other side is like that. I just think the reaction would have been different had Biden been still been the candidate.
I still think there would have been some severe backlash because, like I said, there's been solidarity all the way through. There's not been an issue going forward until all of a sudden there was a problem here. And I don't believe these activists were saying, take that out of your bio when they were pro-Biden. So the fact that, is this the impetus that caused them to do so? Like, what started them saying, take this out of your bio or you don't support us?
So the original comments that I saw weren't from like a pro-Palestinian page. It was kind of from like random pages. So I don't even necessarily know what like happened to instigate the original comments. I kind of think it was all bullshit. I'm more annoyed with the fact of how my side reacted to the blowback. So like,
how do you think they should have reacted? Let's go there for a moment. So you're the king.
We should have been way more understanding. Okay? We should have been way more understanding to the fact that like, one, we live in this country, especially like the ones that are like, we live in this country, right? So to sit here and make like an argument and like to cause divide within your own movement, right? To people who are really, really benefiting you that didn't necessarily need to, they went like they kind of went out of their way to benefit the pro-Palestinian side, the Black community. And so like when they're supporting a candidate that they believe is going to help domestically, right, in all the issues that they have, because I'm voting blue because, you know, I do prefer the social policies that come from the left. So I will be going and voting blue. Because also I know that not voting right now is just going to benefit Trump, who will be significantly worse. So like I don't like the fact that like all it took was, well, I'm supporting this president, and then like the pro-Palestinian side is kind of like, you live here, you know what the politicians are supporting. You can't just like support the worst politician. I think both sides aren't going to benefit Palestinians. Once again, I don't think Kamala's going to do any better than I think like Trump necessarily is going to do. I think Trump might just do worse, and that's all it is.
Not just might, already did worse.
And already to be fair, he said he wanted to kick us out of the country. You know, the pro-Hamas supporters, so on and so forth. So it's just like, what I think should have happened is like, yeah, we should honestly, the pro-Palestinian side should have just like been more understanding of like, hey, as much as like they're supporting our side, they have to vote for what's happening domestically as well. And it's very important. The black vote isn't a small vote.
A lot of people, let me ask you this, and I'll ask this to both of you, right? A lot of people have said that this issue is being astroturfed. It's being ginned up by outside forces who want to create a divide between these two communities. So they're amplifying this argument, this disagreement, this infighting to a degree that is just making everything worse. And it's not natural, it's not spontaneous or organic. It's simply being botted and astroturfed. What are both of your thoughts there? I want to hear from Lethy first, and I want to hear from Ollie. Go ahead.
Honestly, I wouldn't have heard about it if I wasn't hearing it from other people in the Black community and other content creators. So I haven't seen this in any of my news feeds. I was personally shocked when you brought it up to me. So like, to think that it's being ginned up and botted up is literally a beef that seemed to have happened organically between the communities online. So I don't know where that would have come from.
I do think the original comments were bullshit and a little psyop, but what came afterwards, the live conversations that happened, I think it was, honestly, we do have on the pro-Palestinian side, on TikTok predominantly, a bunch of young people who just don't know what the fuck. They have no media training, no idea how to have a conversation. They're not in the debate space, and they were just like, honestly, young college kids and with millions of followers, right? So we have these people as the representatives of a cause and a movement, and it's like the biggest idiots having a conversation, and then this is what it devolved to. So I do think it was natural, the aftermath. Like the argument, and I don't think it's like a psyop. I think the original comments were a little bit strange. I don't know where they came from, because like you said, there wasn't happening when it was Biden. And it just happened to be that it was Kamala. But I don't think the pro-Palestinian side is just like all of a sudden like anti-Kamala because she's black. And then that's the only reason why I think someone would like make that comment spontaneously at this time.
Here's my view on this. Not part of either community, to be real with you. However, I do watch these kinds of things unfold, and I have been talking about Israel and Palestine on my channel since October 7th. When it kind of all blew up, and I have seen it morph from its initial kind of adoption by one and all, right? After the Israeli offensive got their invasion of Gaza, that started ginning up, started going forward, and we had the body counts rising. A lot of people sympathetic. They jumped on board. But it has been, at least from my view, has been taken over is not the right word, but it has, the vocal portion of it has been kind of, taken over. I'm just going to use that word by people who have no love for the Democratic Party, who have no love for America or democracy. And I see this, evidence of this, in the fact that you have over 100 organizations that are quote-unquote pro-Palestine organizing constant disruptions, constant protests, constant basically riots at the DNC right now. People jumping on stage, snatching the mic, started chanting about how 150,000 people are dead in Palestine, and all these things, right? You don't see this happen at Republican rallies, at the RNC. So I do think that there is a question to be had on, okay, when it comes to the quote-unquote pro-Palestine side, why are they only going after the DNC? Why are they only going after Democrats? Why are they only going after the black community? They're not asking white people to take pro-Palestine out of their bio. What is going on here? And I'm just curious your guys' thoughts.
So, for Arabs in the Muslim community, they would vote conservative if it wasn't that the Republican side and the conservative side seem to be extremely racist. And so with the Democratic side and with the liberal side and with the left, this is supposed to be what we see as like, they're not racist, it's the progressive. They kind of like take in like this is the group of the disenfranchised. We stand up for all. When so like they're not going to charge the Republicans. We already understand that the Republican side is pro-Israel. They don't really give two fucks about Palestine. There's no infiltration there. We expect more out of like the Democrats. When like I don't know. So I have family in the Middle East. So I have family in Lebanon. Like my mom's whole side of the family's over there. And like I've been in Lebanon during war. And I understand that this is like a conflict between two countries that's been going on forever. But at the end of the day, it's like coming from my side, we see a bunch of kids dying. It gets thrown in our face that it's like defense, right? Oh, Israel's defending itself. Hamas, whatever it may be. Then it's like anything we say is like, you're anti-Semitic, you're this. We have a bunch of different groups doxing us at every fucking chance they get. Like my little cousin, my baby cousin, got doxed by the Stop Anti-Semitism page on fucking like hundreds of thousands of followers. And it's like they're taking their image, they're calling her like they're calling her like a baby terrorist in training. Like they're trying to figure out the addresses to our place. Like, yeah, so it's like, well, we live here, and it's like, okay, so we see everyone telling us, okay, don't be anti-Semitic. All right, fine. We can't say anything. So like, everyone's angry.
Anyway, it's fine.
Yeah, like, no, fine. Don't be anti-Semitic, but like, don't be anti-Semitic is literally like, there's like no, we can't boycott. We can't say anything. We like it's anything you say towards the country is like anti-Semitism at this point. Like literally, we can't breathe or have a discourse, and it's like, oh, well, you're being anti-Semitic. Fine. So it's like, yeah, I'm not gonna lie. At this point, yeah, you have a large group of people who are here that have been voting Democrat for the longest of times, And it really seems that across the West, like, well, Islam is a threat to the West. That's all we're hearing. And it's like, yeah, so like, yeah, people are angry. People are afraid. I'm not going to sit here and say they aren't. But like, yeah, you're going to get people that are angry. You're going to get people that are like doing this.
But doesn't this give them more reason to do so? The side that is going to benefit your people way more. You guys are running up on stage, making an ass of yourselves, and just doing all kind of wild stuff.
Yeah, I think they're handling this incorrectly. 1000%.
When you see the other side, like they're wanting to cut funding for everything that would benefit pretty much all of us. Mm-hmm. And to try to justify in their heads when they're seeing what the Palestinian people are doing is just going to make life worse for everyone. So it's very hard to stand in solidarity when you guys don't seem to even stand up for your own interest.
So I don't necessarily agree with the protesters. And I do think a lot of the people have co-opted this for their own benefit, whether it be to make money on their own, whether it be to garner like a large following, whether it be just to honestly, go out in the street and like do things that
do you think that's a majority
riot beyond protest?
Like
majority,
right now,
no.
Right? Like right now, do you think that the majority of the people who are protesting the DNC, who are jumping on the stage, who are making these TikToks, do you think that most of them are doing it simply as a way to make money?
No, I think the protesters, a lot of the ones that are rioting or like disrupting, like causing mass disruption, are just using this protest and like the animosity and the emotions behind it as an excuse to kind of like do what they want. But I do think in that group, I think a lot of them are just like, there's angry people who don't know what to do. Like voting doesn't seem to like necessarily help us, like help their cause right now. Us, once again, we live here, so it does help us, right? But it doesn't seem to help like the specific cause that we're like talking about. Like the only thing that we necessarily would even like care for, because it's the one that pertains to us. So we vote blue, and all the other social causes, like, great. But then it's like the lie that gets told to us as well, you know, she's gonna, like, Kamala's gonna get a ceasefire. Biden wasn't gonna get a ceasefire. I don't think Trump was gonna get a ceasefire, once again. So it's like, we'll vote blue, but then it doesn't, we don't get the thing we want. And so it's like, we don't know, like, there's a large group of people that don't know what to do.
I would say take the energy that's being put into the Black community right now and put that toward Hamas leadership, who is more than happy to use the people of Palestine or the Arab people as cannon fodder for whatever they want to do. Take the money and dip from the country.
Wait, I'm sorry. You want the money that's coming from the Black community that's helping out the families, you want them to take it and dip from the country? That's what you're saying?
No.
I'm sorry.
What I'm saying is the energy that the activists are putting into the Black community, saying that we don't stand with them, put that into the leadership that is keeping your people dying. Take that energy to the Hamas leadership and be mad at them for doing what they're doing, because they're just going to take the money that's coming to that country and dip. And
I agree. I agree with you. I don't think that the animosity is being pointed at the right places.
Yes.
I think we're yelling. I said this from the beginning, that I'm holding my people accountable to this. I don't think that I'm not here to defend my side necessarily. This is something I am like actually irritated at, because I think the divide is worse than the like outcome, right? I think like voting blue is a better outcome than having this huge discourse and divide between the pro-Palestinian community and the Black community, especially as like minorities like in this country. Like, I don't think that's like a beneficial cause. And like, Wick, to your point, well, like, yeah, we weren't asking white people to like do that. I'm sorry, but like the vast majority of white creators at this point that I've seen are like pretty pro-Israeli. I mean, I've been on like all the panels, and people's are pretty pro-Israel, which is fine. Like, I get it. I understand. Like, this is a country. You have your decisions. We're born here. Like, whatever it may be. But like, nah, like it's just like this seems to it's not even like we're having a theological war at this point. It's like it's getting worse than a race war at this point. We're literally having Christianity versus Islam debates. We're having talks of Judaism and Talmud. Like we're like the online space is getting pretty like rough, and like it's all animosity. And so like yeah, like this is something I'm not gonna lie, I kind of expected, and I'm disappointed that it's happening. Once again, my only criticism of the black community once again on the TikToks, because I've seen the black community is also split on TikTok. I have plenty of videos of like the black community being like, hey, don't sit here just because some people said some stupid shit. Now we like forget about the cause. That's what the psyop is, and I agree more with that. I think that discourse needs to be more happening. I think people do need to be more understanding on both sides. It's just I'm going to hold my people accountable on this because why would I hold on someone else's?
Well,
that doesn't make
let's
sense.
talk about
I can
that.
look at the problems within my own community. I can look at the problems within my own community and say, hey, we're fucking up here. We shouldn't be fucking up here. But I still can be understanding to why the people are fucking up. And so it's like, for the black community, like, I understand the criticism, but like, it's a little understanding.
Well,
that's all I would say is needed.
Let me ask you this, Lynn Lethe, because I think Ali brings up something that I think is interesting to discuss, right? The split within the black community about this. Do you think that the people in the black community, the members of the black community who are upset at this, who are, as we saw in the video earlier, not talking about Palestine anymore because of this, not donating to relief funds and things anymore because of this, do you think that they are overreacting, or do you think that this is something that, okay, they're just acting as they should in this case? What are your thoughts?
I have to say the black community in America probably has support lag or fatigue. Yeah, support fatigue, because we support so many other people in our movements and everything we're trying to accomplish in America. We supported the Asian communities when they came here. We supported the Hispanic communities when they came here. We've been supporting the Lebanese or the Palestinian communities as they've been going through their fight, and constantly seeing these communities turn their back on us when they finally get what they want. So when we're sitting here still trying to fight the good fight alongside of them, and they're sitting there telling us that we're not doing good enough, eventually we're going to be like, nah, we're good. Have fun. Do your thing.
I mean, yeah, I don't disagree. I don't disagree. So like even within minorities, there's gonna be like racism, and I'm not gonna sit here and say like the Arab community isn't like going to have racists within the community that like do this. Just like I heard coming in, you talking about like business owners, and like one of the bigger issues and one of the bigger like I think divides that happen is like a lot of Arabs do own businesses in black communities, and they don't necessarily treat the clients well, and I think that causes more disruption and more divide. And like, here's my thing, man. My issue is that I agree with you. It's just like I agree with you in full. Actually, once again, I'm here to hold my people accountable. I don't like how this whole pro Palestine thing is has happened. No. I'm from Dearborn, Michigan. I'm from Detroit, right? So I make it like, trust me, I understand. I've worked in. I didn't grow up in Detroit. I didn't grow up in a black community, but I've worked in black communities my entire life. So I get it. Fuck. The thing is, I'm defending myself here because I'm like, fuck, I'm one of the good ones, man. I swear to God,
we're not here to attack you. To be clear, we're not.
No, I don't feel
only under fire, right?
No. I don't feel attacked. I don't feel attacked. It's just like I feel like the majority of people are like just doing their shit, right? We have like just living their lives, and like like my mom, for example. My mom just lives here. Okay, she just lives in America. She barely leaves Dearborn, the city that she grows up in. I'm not gonna lie. It wasn't until oh my God, I don't want to get his name wrong. Floyd, whatever happened with
George Floyd.
Yeah, George Floyd. Sorry, yeah. So George Floyd. It took like that, and then my mom was like, "Oh my God, they're still doing that." Like, cause she doesn't watch the news. She doesn't like. She watches Lebanese news. If she watches like Turkish, she's not in. But the George Floyd like kind of it hit her radar. And then like it clicked for like, oh shit, that's still happening. Like that kind of stuff still happens like to people. So it's like, I think most people are just ignorant to what's going on. They're kind of just living in their own bubble. And then we have a loud minority, which would be like the business owners in the black community or like people online that are either like racist or like Arabs have a big cultural appropriation thing. Like we come here and we just like mimic black culture. And then we like, but We live in the suburbs. It's a whole thing. So I think there is like these large or loud minorities that like people are hearing, and then these are the issues that are being caused, and it kind of is just fucking it up for normal everyday people. And I don't think it's fair. I don't think it's good. But I don't think that like in the same way that I don't judge people like off of like the individuals that I meet, like I don't judge the whole like that. It kind of feels like that's what's happening today with like the Arabs and the Muslims. But I'm not gonna shit on your experience, right? Like your experience is your experience.
Well, it's kind of wild that as we get rocked, like back in 2012, Trayvon Martin got killed by George Zimmerman, and we started this thing called the Dream Defenders, and they also took up a pro-Palestine stance. Then you had the same thing that happened when BLM came up. They took a pro-Palestine stance. So like even the movements that the Black community puts together to try to help ourselves, we can't help but try to help others. And I would hope that these communities could see the history that we have in trying to show that solidarity. And when they finally get where they want to get, or at least some semblance of it, they'll return it.
Can we talk about that for a minute? Because this is tangentially related, but I think it's important to discuss because it does involve with the topic. This idea of solidarity, of a organization with an issue adopting other people's issues as well. I wonder how much that actually hurts the original issue. I'll give you an example. One of the reasons the NRA is so powerful in American politics is because it has one issue. The only thing it focuses on is that issue, to the exclusion of all else. They don't care about anything else. They don't care about any other cause. They don't care about any other of the amendments. They don't care about anything else. They are the National Rifle Association. I wonder, one of the weaknesses of some of the more modern movements is things like BLM and all these other things try to adopt other people's causes. They try to adopt other people's struggles and kind of fold it into a kind of a one struggle ideology. I wonder if that's one of the reasons they're not as effective as the NRA was. They're not as effective as some of these other single issue organizations are. What are both of your thoughts on that? Should we just stop? Should the Black community just stop trying to be in solidarity with other communities that don't have their problems?
In some cases, I would say they should, because when it comes down to legislation and everything that comes down, the Black community tends to get the blanket people of color positioning in whatever happens. And it's not for just Black people. Everybody else tends to benefit a bit more than the Black community does. So I would definitely not like to see the Black community abandon every other community, because we have people in all communities and they're also, tangentially related to us. But at the same time, we would like to see more focus on the things that we need to get done and the reason why we started these movements in the first place.
And isn't, though, that kind of, in the pro-Palestine activist defense here, them simply doing that, saying, hey, that's nice that you guys have all your struggles, but right now we are focused only, exclusively on this one. Do you think that, again, they're just doing what is best for their community in this case?
Well, for the people that are being vocal against the Black community, I would absolutely say yes, they're being very selfish in what they're trying to do, because our struggles have been ongoing alongside each other. There's no reason to ignore one struggle over the other. We could walk and chew gum at the same time. But at the same time, to tell us not to focus on what helps us, to focus on them, is just ludicrous. Like, the fact that we even try to do so while we still face the same struggles is unfair.
Thoughts, Ali?
Yeah, I agree. So rather than like seeing the Black community pull out from other causes, I would like to see other communities reach out in the same way that the Black community does reach out. The issue is, honestly, for some reason, Black people just do it out of nowhere, and then like I feel like it should be expected of the other communities to do so, and the other communities just don't do so out of expectation. But I do think that's a giant problem. I do think it's an issue. I do, like you said, the people that are like kind of trying to silence Black voices, or even like combating the Black voices on this, are being selfish. And I do think to, once again, like, especially for like the ones that are Americans, we live here. You have to play the game here. And so, like, for me, even though understanding, I don't think either side's going to benefit my side, what's going to benefit me and the greater good, like, while I'm here, are the domestic policies of, like, the left or, like, and if any side is going to do better, you would hope that it would be like the Democrats. And so I think you would have an easier time if you had a discourse like this, where honestly I do think, like, my side, you need to take some humility sometimes, and it's okay. You don't need to be on the defensive. And all being on the defensive, all it's done is now there's a fucking oppression war. Now there's, oh, well, look, these people are dying. It's stupid. It's stupid. This is like, we clearly there's like common enemy, and it's like the oppressor to the oppressed. And so it's like, work together versus like getting psyoped into a fucking, the stupidest disagreement I've ever seen.
I don't know if this is like, people keep saying this is a psyop. This is a psyop. This is a psyop.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it is, and I'll tell you why. I think that this is just the natural outcome of the whole oppressor versus oppressed dynamic and lens that people view things through. I think it's far too narrow, and it creates paradoxes. It creates problems where the truth of it is, and gang, depending on context, everyone's an oppressor, right? And everyone's oppressed, right? It's just true. Like, and it can really change based on the context. And so a lot of people are looking and saying, hey, I remember that not only did the white people have slaves, but the Arab people enslaved my people too. And then you have on the other side, well, look, some of the people who are wearing those uniforms that are gunning down my people, they ain't white, they're black, right? And you see these kinds of things coming out, and everyone thinks they're oppressed. Everyone thinks the other side's the oppressor. And you have this situation. Obviously, they're going to have arguments like this. Obviously, that's going to happen when you create this dynamic and you use this as your sole lens. I think it's just natural response. I don't think it's a psyop at all.
I mean, my bad. Lethal, should have asked you what you'd want to be.
You can just call me Lethy.
Lethy. Lethy or Leafy?
Lethy.
Lethy. All right. So, so I don't know if so the comments, the don't take this out of your bio if you feel if you're voting with the stance, whatever. Like you said, you didn't hear about it when it was Biden, right?
No.
And so I don't know if the Black progressive community on TikTok, especially during the times where they were helping the community, I don't know if they were pushing Biden hard. I don't think the Democrats. I think it was kind of like, if a lot of Democrats were pushing Biden hard, right? Then we get Kamala. Now it may just be the new fresh president. Maybe I misspoke with it being black, but the only reason I say is I don't necessarily know if it was like a white guy that the community would have been riding so hard behind them, which is why I say it's a psyop. I think there was an opportunity seen by what might have been pro-Palestinian commenters. I don't know. This is just like why, like the theory. There's an opportunity where now you see the progressive pro-Palestinian black community on TikTok supporting Kamala. And there's potentially an opportunity seeing like, all right, well, if they're going to defend Kamala more than they're going to defend Biden. And here's the comments. And I can see that being true. Now, Leafy, I don't know. Once again, I could be wrong, but like, you don't think it's a little bit true that like maybe people are riding, like the black community is riding a little bit harder for Kamala than they ever would have ridden for Biden? Not that they wouldn't vote blue. They were voting blue no matter what. But the type of like support for that candidate.
I really can't say for sure. I like a lot of the black community really doesn't like Kamala for certain historical reasons. So like we've been trying to get our minds into this is the person that we want given the history behind this person. But I also think part of it comes down to the idea that you were saying that there's an expectation from black people to do certain things. And when they don't think that she's going to do that thing, all of a sudden it's much more acceptable to criticize this person than it would be to criticize someone like Biden, who was never expected to do anything.
So I'll just interject here because I have some knowledge on this. One of the biggest supporters of Biden staying in was the black community. The black community rode hard for Biden during the Biden versus dropping out saga, right? There were a lot of black creators that got on and put their necks on the line to keep Biden in the race because, again, they had some solidarity. They felt that loyalty, right? A lot of different reasons for that. But, and obviously not a monolith, okay? But
No,
I
of
saw
course.
a lot of very influential black creators stick their necks on the line for Biden when a lot of the white creators were trying to push him on the over the cliff there. And so I think that, like, again, this idea that the black community wasn't riding hard for Biden, I don't know if that's true.
I guess
either.
When I'm talking about this in the context of the conversation we're having, I'm being really specific to like TikTok, Zoomers, progressives, right? These are the ones on TikTok that are kind of like these kids are pretty fucking vocal about what they dislike and what they do like. Now they're gonna vote blue because once again, it just overall like is gonna benefit in general. They're never going to vote red. We have never Trumpers right now, but once again, I don't know if they loved Biden necessarily. I don't think they cared about Biden necessarily. I don't think they were like, and I do think it would
maybe
like,
not the Zoomers. But
yeah,
that was Zoomers.
So like, so with the
right?
Zoomers, I do think, especially the ones on TikTok, like there is a little bit more of like you said, like you can hold this, like you have an expectation of Kamala maybe more, but then maybe there's more of a relatability, and not to mention like a woman, like there's the woman factor as well, right? So it's like a black woman president is like a big deal, and especially one that's like going to potentially stand more and understand your side more. And that's what I'm saying. I don't necessarily like just because she's black, like there's a lot that comes into it, especially like right now with what's going on. And especially like who she's like running against. And that's kind of, I guess, what I'm saying. I'm being very specific to like the Zoomer TikTok progressives that are in this. Yeah.
$2 from Fates to say what would be an ideal end to this situation. And that's a good question. How do we resolve this? Does this get resolved? And if so, how does this get resolved? What is the path forward for the black community and pro-Palestine activists to kind of make amends, if you will? What needs to happen? Go ahead.
Ahead.
So like, my community needs to once again just shut the fuck up a little bit, and an apology, and then going forward some solidarity, out of expectation, not out of asking. So like, it is kind of time to just look within ourselves and understand, like, hey, I understand like but like you have to look beyond yourself and like your own interests, and understand that you live in like a world, and you live in a country, and like the option is leave or make it worse. And so like, I think if you live here, the whole point of living here is like try to play and make it better for the people that are here, which includes yourself. So a little humility, step back, apologize, moving forward, show some solidarity.
We're both seeing eye to eye on this. I was thinking a little bit of humble pie, like pretty much the way you've come at this. And I would also say these activists that are speaking out against the black community, maybe if they could watch some older videos of black activists speaking up for Palestine to try to show their community like this is not the case. They have been standing with us. This is not a trend, because that's the one that pissed me off the most. Was I'm saying, oh, this is a trend you guys are hopping on. When it's not popular anymore, you're just gonna no. It's been long since popular.
I also like some older Arab creators. So I joined the space like very like recently. I'm starting to like I'm moving, so like my stream setup and all that will be set up, and I'll be streaming officially. But like older people need to be having conversations as well, man. I don't know, man. 22-year-olds, 21-year-olds having conversations like this, honestly, is these aren't the people you should be looking up to. These aren't the people that are even trained. They haven't had the conversation. They don't have the experience. So that's why I'm comfortable saying like my side needs to shut up and just like because it's like we're wrong right now in this situation. We are wrong. Not in the support for Palestine, not in the asking for support. And honestly, I don't really care about attacking the DNC and asking. None of that shit necessarily matters to me. I understand that it hinders the point, but I get that these people are angry and hurt and like honestly scared. But support those who support you. It's common sense. It's really common sense.
Have people's backs. I wanted to talk a little bit about the DNC stuff.
Yeah.
And I guess for purposes of generating some conversation here, I'll give my thoughts on this. And you might disagree with me, both of you, but we'll see. I think that the people who are going to the DNC, breaking through barriers, right, tearing down these fences, shoving their faces in cameras, right, snatching mics, heckling Kamala, basically interrupting and disrupting in every single way possible, have done more to hurt their cause than any pro-Israeli rally could ever do. I think that they are quickly turning public sentiment and the goodwill that they have built up after people saw the horrors and stuff that's happened in Gaza. People are turning on them, and I understand why. And I think that, yeah, of course they're going to, when you block traffic, when you do all these things. So I guess, like, you talked about shutting the fuck up, Ollie, and how your side needs to shut the fuck up. Would you apply that to, and I guess you already kind of hinted at your answer here, but I just want to hear it. Do you think that they should quit these constant disruptions?
Nah.
No? Okay.
No, so like, okay, last week, Kamala was at a convention, and she had the protesters, right? And then all she did was silence them and tell them, "Well, do you want Donald Trump to win this? Blah blah blah." Okay, you're president, or you're running for president. I'm not gonna lie, you have these conventions in Michigan. You have these conventions where, like, there's like Detroit, where there's going to be large Muslim populations, Arab populations. Handle that shit better. All that made me, to me, that wasn't like, oh, she shut these people up, look at her. No, she didn't handle business. She just didn't know how to react. She got flustered when some people screamed some stuff. And that was like really a good time to garner a win from like the Muslim pro-Palestinian side. If
Do
you
think
want,
it garnered a win though? Because that's what Biden did. Biden was like, I hear you. He was much more respectful than Kamala was. He let them talk. He said, we understand what they're processing.
Nah, in the same way that we get up and we say, "Oh my God, Israel's our greatest ally. Oh my God, this show the same fake it for a little bit. You're the president. You're playing politics. Fake it for a little bit of like, you know what? The Palestinians do deserve. I'm gonna try to fight my hardest. Some bullshit. Give some bullshit if you want. Get the secure the win for a little bit, but don't create like more animosity for people. I think there's a way better way of handling it.
Well,
if Trump can go and have a convention talking about I love Israel, have Israeli flags and behind him and take pictures and sit here and be like, we're gonna kick out all the protesters, we're gonna deport all pro Hamas like, all right, they can do that for the other side. It works. Do it for this side. You come pander a little bit. Like, I just like it doesn't seem strong. And then all you get is, well, fine, now when you go to other places, you don't want to listen to us, we don't want to listen to you.
Lethe, do you have thoughts
play president
before I get back in here?
Play president.
I gotta say that's not the best way to do it. So I've always heard never let a good disaster go to waste. And I believe that the October 7th attack was a disaster for the Palestinian people. The same as these shenanigans that are being pulled at the DNC is a disaster for the Palestinian people. So where they're piping up, blocking traffic and the whole deal, they should be holding up signs asking Hamas to release the hostages so Israel will leave them the fuck alone. This is what they should be doing, like off rip, telling their leadership, like, hey, back off. Israel will just be sitting there punching on us. It will not look good for them. It will be very hard to defend what Israel is doing if we show support and trying to make sure that the fighting stops. We want the fighting to stop. We're going to beg our people to do that. That's what their voices should be saying at this point. Not, oh, continue. We need to keep fighting. We need to keep. No, fighting is not in your best interest.
Okay, wait. So, like, during this time, you want people who, for some of them, like the family bombing thing. So like I get how that would work and how that would benefit. But that's because like I can see a bigger picture, and my family is alive and fine. We're good. Now, do you this is like understand these people don't believe the sentiment, but it's just playing the game. You want the people to play the game correctly. I feel
as
you.
Black people in America, we sat there,
okay, I feel
got
you.
our cities burned down.
I feel you.
We had our
I feel
people
you.
killed and
Respect.
lynched, and we just walked
Yeah,
around
you're
saying
right.
we will overcome. Apparently, it worked out pretty well.
Okay, I get you. I'm not. Listen, once again, this is why I knew you were coming here for a debate, and Wick, I'm so sorry. I knew you wanted to, but I'm way more about bridge building than I am about fucking debates when it comes to these types of things.
I want genuineness. Is what I want.
Yeah.
This is genuine.
Yes.
Oh yeah, fuck it. I rock. See, this is why older people need to be having the conversation. Wait, how old are you?
I'm 41.
Okay, I'm 32. So
shit, I'm 41 too.
There we go.
When's your birthday? I'm curious.
I was hatched somewhere in April.
April. Okay, you're older than I am. Damn. Okay. Wow. I'm used to be the oldest motherfucker in this place. That's cool. Actually, I'm more excited now. But no, I just like this idea.
But actually, you know what? I agree, man. I agree. You got some ideas, man. Okay.
But here's the thing, Ali. Right. This idea that there was anything or any reaction that Kamala or any politician could have that would make the protesters not protest anymore. I think at this point is simply not true. I think that there's nothing that anyone can do because they get so much reward for it socially in their circles. They get so much reward for it from attention economy.
They wouldn't. That's why they don't attack the
RNC.
Then that's why they don't attack Republicans. They don't attack Republicans because there's no benefit.
The reason why I'm saying this is when Kamala comes out and tells them basically to shut up, I think that gains her more support with people than trying to placate them. And I think
it gains more support with other people. I completely agree. I'm not telling you it didn't garner support from other people. But if we're talking about, once again, the Arab community or the pro-Palestine community, or if you want like protests to like stop, happen, or so on and so forth, once again, sitting from my side, I'm Arab, I'm Muslim, I'm American, all the things, you know? Yeah, I see them literally and like just all day politicians are kissing Zionist ass. Like all day. I'm hearing politicians go, Israel doesn't need, we don't need Israel. Israel doesn't need us. We need Israel. Fucking Nikki Haley. Listen, we're like all day. We're just kissing Zionist ass. Kiss a little bit of Palestinian ass at the time that it's needed. I'm not telling you to do it. Don't do a whole fucking run. Don't wear a keffiyeh every single. But if you're gonna come to Detroit, you gotta expect as a politician that this is your side. These are the people that you want. Once again, Republicans and conservatives only miss out on like the Arab Muslim vote because they're racist. And it's like Muslims are, in all sense, they are conservatives, but they miss out on the vote because they get othered. No one wants them. But it's like, all right, cool. So like now we're talking to our people. That's the only reason they're complaining at the Democratic side, because that's what they've been voting. And they're like, hey, well, you know, like the only thing we're really asking for seems to be this. And like, so, all right, so they were loud. Once again, was it good? Is it good to be loud? No. Is it hurting the side for Palestinians? Maybe. I don't really know. For the people that are the people that are pro-Palestinian through and through, it doesn't really matter if the side is hurt or not. We kind of don't see anyone benefiting us. So, once again, in terms of like politicians. So it's like, I think for me, for my opinion, for someone who's voting blue, for someone who's like, you know, like, I kind of didn't like the fact that Kamala handled it like that. I think as a politician, as the future president, you should have really like come in expecting people to be annoying and not gotten annoyed. I think like you lost that game. Like, and once again, not for everyone. It benefited her maybe in a different way, but like for that side, that's all I say. As like she could have played it good for both. But yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
I mean, it seems like it's mostly the people that are farther left that are not going to be happy no matter what any side does. And like, I honestly don't see them having a candidate they would be happy with. Like,
Yeah.
I hear people saying Cornel West. It's like Cornel West doesn't stand a snowball's chance in a volcano of getting anywhere near the presidency.
I think right now, something I've been seeing and that's something I've been trying to talk about is like for Muslims, for Arabs, it doesn't seem like there is a politician that's standing with us. Right now, the conversation is like Islam being a threat to the West. And it's like, whether it be like Sweden, the UK, like whatever's happening, it just seems to be like we're right now are like there's this weird little target, and it's like it kind of reminds me of a certain date and time where it's like these people, they don't look like us, they don't share the same religion, they don't have the same language. I don't know, maybe we don't want them here. We're talking mass deportations. People are wanting. It's like it feels weird right now. So yeah, I don't think there is a politician that would stand with us.
Do you think
but
people,
like we live here. That's only my only thing.
And on that, and we are kind of winding down. I won't keep you guys too late here, but on that note of people seeing Islam and Muslims as a threat, just out of curiosity, do you think that there's any merit to that? Either of you.
Me?
Either of you. Do you think that there are reasons perhaps that you can understand that someone would see the Muslim world as a threat?
I think in 10 years Muslims are going to be able to claim the term anti-Semitic. That's my answer. No, I don't think they're a threat. I think we come here and just people don't like us.
Yeah, I'm going to say a lot of actions from certain factions within the Muslim community have garnered them the label of terrorist. And like, I'm going to say the book itself kind of speaks to jihad and doing things to fight against people that are against them.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say it's all Muslim because again, nobody
people who are
knows.
against you in times of war. Why? Yeah, of course. Why would it say otherwise?
Yeah, but apparently they're always at war.
I mean, yeah. Do you know them? Have you seen the Middle East?
Yeah,
yeah. There's people coming in. So
war.
like the idea for Muslims is to consistently go and grow your religion and spread your religion. Like we are very much a pass your religion, teach your religion, share your religion, convert people. That's fair and fact and based. But it's like what people will never say. There's no conscription. All the people who are doing the force thing, by all technicality, they're sinners. They're kafirs. They're like the terrorists. You cannot force anyone to do anything unless you be outside. So like there's a difference between the culture that comes with like being a Muslim or from like a Muslim country or whatever it may be, and then like the actual religion, right? And so like the people that are living within the culture would typically be like kings, and you're not meant to have kings and queens. Like
sure, but let me try it this way. Maybe this will help.
Isn't that a no true Scotsman right there? It's like, oh well, these people that are doing this, they're not real Muslim. Maybe they're the real Muslims, and they're thinking you're not the real Muslim.
No. You're absolutely true. You're absolutely correct. But I'm just saying, like, so okay, for all this talk of terrorism, right? Like the terrorism seems to happen in the countries where like it's always like death to America, but like all the death is happening in the Middle East. Like the terrorists seem to like kind of reside mainly there while trying to yell across and so like the issue that's happening, for example, with like in the UK, which I understand why like the English people are like a little bit like worrisome, right? You have a bunch of you have refugees in like mass coming to your country, right? And like they're not assimilating. Like it's kind of weird. They're living in these like little cities. They're doing their own thing. There's a bunch of crime not a bunch, but there's crime that comes with it, just like it comes with any community, just like it comes with the community that was already there. So like whatever. But see, my thing is like these people, had their countries been fine and didn't need to be like in a refugee status, it's like they didn't choose to necessarily like they don't want to go to England. They don't want to go to these places.
To go to England, but go ahead.
But yeah, but it's like yeah, they don't want to go there, but it's just like they don't have a choice, so they get shipped somewhere. They get yelled at because like you're not acting like us. It's like, well, we just got here. Fucking breathe. Our kids will probably act like you, which is like what we have with a bunch of like the first generation, or I'm a first generation Arab.
Hold on, in Britain, because I just did a show on this actually, and we had some people from the British Muslim community.
Yeah. I watched it.
I don't know if you watched it. Great. But again, as was repeated over and
I hated
over.
that guy
Most
that you
of
had
this,
on, bro.
you didn't like him?
I hated that guy that you had on.
What? Oh, I thought
yeah, bro.
I'm gonna have him on
Tap
again.
dance more. But this is homie was just tap dancing all day. I was like, all right, cool.
Oh my
cool.
God, that's an accusation. We'll get to it another day. I'd love to have you both.
But
on
yeah,
at
I
the
saw
same
that.
time. But yeah, so but not only from him, but others have said, it's the second generation that is committing most of the crimes. The first generation immigrants generally don't. It's the second generation that is being radicalized in a very real way. And when it comes to the Muslim,
I think they're just broke.
Like
and they're just broke. You know, like there's crime in the UK, a lot of crime in the UK, and it's like, yeah, it seems like everyone hates us. They're pretty like kind of like openly racist in the UK. It's not like it's fun over there, you know.
It's fun,
and so it's like, you know, like you know, I'm sure a lot of refugee kids like do crime. Like that doesn't surprise me in the least. But it's like not because they're Muslim and not because they're Pakistani. It's because they are of refugee status.
You can understand how a lot of people would see in America and in other countries a lot of Christian nationalism as a culture, as a threat. And a lot of people in America on the left see Christian nationalism as a threat because of the culture that comes with it. Christianity itself is fine, but Christian nationalism is a problem. In the same way, I would point to Muslim nationalism, Islamism, as being a problem. Muslim religion, fine. But there is this belief, this culture from some of them that does create a lot of tension and a culture clash, if you will. That is, I think,
but it's not their fault.
It's regardless of whose fault it is, right?
No,
it
that
is
matters.
Something that people in America, I think that they have every right to at least raise concerns about.
In America?
Yes, in America or in the West in general.
So in America, Hamtramck, city next to Detroit, it's right now Bangla town. It's a bunch of Bengalis. They passed legislation to do like they can do slaughter goat for their Eid. It's a Eid that like we have as Muslims. It's Eid of slaughter. So they went to their like, you know, little place. They asked for a law to be passed. The people voted on it. It got passed. They did the American thing. Dearborn, you have there's Arabic writing on the businesses because we have a lot of Arabic speakers. We own most of the businesses. We are in part of government. I don't know. We come here and we're just doing the American thing really fucking good, and it just seems like, well, what's the problem? Where's this worry? Is it because like women are wearing scarves? They choose, brother. And some people don't choose to wear scarves, but hey, there are misogynists who tell their women what to wear anyways.
Once again, I don't care about Arabic writing or how they dress or anything like
that. Yeah, but
where's
the Islamism that you guys are worried of?
Right?
Where's the Islamism? So in the UK, they have a better reason to be worried because these are people who don't want to necessarily assimilate. They did not choose to be there. These are refugee people. These are people that got sent over. So I can understand like the worry, but at the same time, that's why I do have to ascribe fault. They got boated over there. They got shipped over there. So it's like, you can't bring a problem to your door and be like, oh, we're worried about these Islamists. It's like, yo, you just grabbed people by the troves and brought them over. Like, that's a you issue. So like in America, where I do say a lot of the Muslims or Arabs to choose to come here, right? For all this worry of like Islamism and terror, it's like I live in Dearborn, mad Muslims here, like largest, densest area, Chicago right there, New York right there, like not really much of this like terrifying Islamism that you're seeing around, not much different than any other group that would have. Like any other group that would be like extreme in their causes.
Understand how you can have concerns and worries about a thing that has not happened yet, might not happen in the future, but you can see that there are reasons and possibilities to be on your guard. Like I have a lock on my door. I've never had a breaking and entering. I've never had a burglary. Like I've never had anyone come into my house and rob me. However, I have implemented protective measures just in case in the future someone tries. Then there are mechanisms in place that might hopefully protect me from that, because that is a concern that I think
Yeah.
is reasonable to have, and it's reasonable to build protections against. Much like, again, not Muslims,
I know.
Muslim
Islamism.
nationalism. There
I
is
know.
a reason, just like in Christian nationalism,
Yeah,
there is
yeah,
a
yeah.
reason to have mechanisms in place that will protect us, and to
My issue
look at those
is-
things with concern. And I look at Christian nationalism with concern, just as I do Muslim nationalism with concern. Go ahead.
My issue is that in European and in American countries, Western countries, we categorize a group of people and then we don't know how to distinguish who is who. So like, we can't ban Islamists from coming into the country. We have to have a Muslim ban from coming into the country, right? You don't know who is an Islamist because, like, why would anyone admit to being an Islamist, especially if you?
No,
So
not
what
a Muslim
happens is-
ban. Not a Muslim
I know.
ban.
No, no,
a
no,
ban
no,
from
no,
certain
no, no, no.
countries that are majority Muslim.
Yeah, well, a Muslim
Difference.
ban. I mean,
right?
yeah, Muslim ban.
Is it?
So it's a Muslim ban. I mean, it's just once again, we think Muslims are brown people. That's all it is we think Muslims come from these countries and not anywhere else. And it's so. My issue is I've heard this rhetoric before. It's like, yeah, we don't have a problem now with these people, but we're gonna have a problem later. They're gonna come here. They're gonna fucking change our way of life. They're coming. They're getting into government. They're hitting our business. This is like literally what happened with the Jews. This is the rumblings of the beginnings of what happened to the Jews. These refugees are here. These people are here. They don't fucking act like us. They have their own little secret language. They have and it's like, right now, yeah, there isn't a problem, but maybe later there will be a problem. We should fucking try to stop the problem, not limit where they come in, maybe kick some of them out. Some of them seem to be kind of a little sketch, so we start kicking them. Yeah, this is the beginnings of the Muslim Holocaust, brother. Like, what do you
I
mean?
think
That's
the issue
how it
comes
works.
down to like the fundamentalist portions of these societies. Like same with
Yeah.
Christians, same with Islam. So like, how do you know, or is it just people who practice Sharia law, like where honor killings and other crazy things happen within the communities? Like, how do we know who's doing what at that point?
Well, how do you know any
And
group
not to
of
be
people? I mean, this works for like literally every group of people, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, it
Well,
works.
we can tell who our fundamentalists are. Like we see, the people on TV. We see.
But
them
your
that-
fundamentalists, so it's like in the black community, your fundamentalists aren't the threats, right? Technically, the threat is like
Black
the crime.
nationalism is a threat.
Yeah,
no.
black nationalism is-
That's not what the perceived threat in America is like black nationalists. It's the fact that it's like, well, once again, it's the racist trope, the 13%, 50, whatever the fuck. It's the whole like, these people come, they don't work. It's a different type of threat that you have, right? So it's like, how do I know which black person isn't a criminal, right? How do I know which person isn't gonna rob you? That's the kind of like the thing that gets called out. It's like, which person isn't an Islamist? I mean, you don't know, and I guess like unfortunately you gotta wait till you find out. But like, if we're gonna sit here and be like, well, shit, we don't know, and we can't find out, we should probably just get these people out of here, right? I mean, where does that stop?
I'm not advocating for that, and I don't think anyone really.
I don't think it's no. Right now it's not. But once again, it's the rumblings that start. So it's like already you see on Twitter, on Twitter and X, which isn't the greatest representation of like places, sure. But people can say whatever the fuck they want, and they are. So it's like in the UK and Europe, people are asking for mass deportation of Muslims. We don't want Muslims here. We don't want Islam here. And it's happening. I'm seeing the protests. It's whatever. I understand. And then like within this country, especially right now with these times, right? We are seeing like the whole like of these people, not only are they like Muslim, and they're also anti-Semitic. Israel's our greatest ally. We're seeing presidents stand in front of Israeli flags, so on and so forth. So it's like, yes, I'm not saying that like right now, this is the advocacy for everyone to be kicked out, but this is like the pebble that starts the wave. This is the small rumblings that become the earthquake. I mean, I don't know if it's a fallacy this time, because we kind of already have, we have a model for this. We've seen it happen. Unless like the Nazis were right and like they were concerned about the people coming in and change. Yeah, so it's like one or the other. It starts with small rumblings. It starts with one crazy guy who's like, we got to get these fucking people out of here.
Godwin's law, I guess, but this was something that was inevitable given the topic of discussion. But here's the deal, right? I think that we can recognize that there are problems with, again, certain types of culture coming in to the country to supplant and overtake the dominant culture.
What culture is doing it better than the other? Like what if black people are coming in and take over?
For example, I don't want I don't want Iraq's culture in America. I don't want Saudi Arabia's culture in America. Not because of their religion, not because of their skin color, but because they practice some horrific things. They have regressive views on LGBT issues. They have regressive views on a lot of social issues. When
There
it
are
comes to
southern
gender
states
and
that have
women's.
regressive views on LGBT.
Those are
and all
bad
these
too.
issues.
We're not a fan of them either.
Yeah,
No,
those are bad
no,
too.
wait. I'm not saying I'm not saying that like they're good. I'm saying that like you already have the culture there. The only difference is that like one is Arab speaking and one isn't. Like if you go to Mississippi, it's not like they're the greatest fucking LGBT people. They're probably pretty racist too. Like these things exist. It's not like the culture of Iran or Iraq, like the bad parts of the culture don't already exist within this culture. We like these issues exist kind of globally. It's not limited to like, oh, well, people in Iraq don't like the gays. No, people in America don't like the gays either. They just got legislation passed not too fucking long ago, and people want to take
There's
that
a
back
big
out.
difference
So, like,
between the United States and even Western states, right? Or I'm sorry, even regressive states like Alabama, right? Even states like Florida, right, where it's probably not the best, but these are still
They're slightly better.
It's not just slightly better. These are
Why?
Orders of magnitude above places like Iran, Iraq, Afghanistan, and these other these
but
are
like
just not the
here's-
same.
They don't just flat kill
How
them.
many? Okay, guys. What's the population that we have of Muslims in America? It's like I think it's like 1%. It's like 1% or 2%, I believe. And it's like, when are we going to take over the country and instill Sharia? Like, at what percentage of like where does it happen? And then like beyond that, it's like, okay, well, you're picking this country. Fine. From my view, it's like I kind of see an infiltration of like Israel in this country, and it seems like all our politicians are bought out by this foreign entity state, and everyone else seems to be okay with that. I don't know what's up with that? How like there you can point at every group of people and be like, hey, they're disrupting our utopia, and it kind of just seems like don't want to be that guy, but it just seems like white utopia because it's like we don't want Arab cultures, but we want Mexican culture here. But like, what's Mexican culture? Cartels? You want cartels in America?
So I've said for a long time that the fundamentalist Christians that hate gay people and so on and so forth because of what it says in the Bible or what they believe it says in the Bible are a bit bitch made. And I've always said that the people that practice Sharia and actually do these things in these countries are actually following the book as it says to do. So with the fact that people in America that are fundamentalists that do not take that extra step of stoning people or anything like that going forward, that is, I think, the difference between what people are seeing. Like, even if you go to Africa, there's Muslim communities that will do the same thing. So that's what we don't want here in America. We don't want communities of that going on.
Yeah, and you
People
won't
are
have
afraid.
that. You won't have that because the people that are okay, so it's like one of two things, right? The people that make it here of choice are not trying to do that, and it's not like every single person, once again, monolithic or not, it's not like all of them people. There's a lot of people who disagree with how their shit's ran, and it's like a lot of like there is a lot of revolutionary movements within these countries and communities. It's just like it gets shut down by like armies. You can't really. I don't know how you combat that when people are just like literally willing to kill you. So, you're not gonna have Muslims coming here and like stoning gays. Like that's just like probably not going to happen because they will get arrested. Like it's just like that's just what happens here. They're in a different country. You kind of have to play by the other country's rules. Now for the refugees, once again they get moved over. Also, you're gonna have a small like the initial like boost. Like yes, you're gonna have some problems with the way like the culture like they treat babies or however it may be. Like you're gonna have a weird tiff initially, but I mean, you can't. That's not their like. I don't blame the people of the culture because it's not like they brought their culture over. They got their culture taken. So once again, like in America, I can look at every group of people and look at the worst parts of their cultures and be like, well, that's what we want to bring here. Well, the Mexicans are just bringing their gangs and the fucking drugs and the cartels, and it's like
we should keep cartels out of America as well.
We should, but like
we should go over there and
we
take
should
care
keep
of
the
their
cartels out of America.
What Mexican is
brother.
part of the cartel? What Mexican's part of the cartel? How do you know?
We have a process at the border to make these kind of distinctions.
What if they're really good at?
They're
just
not
getting
100%. And I'm not advocating for something.
I know you're
that's
not
going to keep
advocating.
every
I know.
single bad person out and
Listen,
only let the
Islamists
good
shouldn't.
people in. I'm not even advocating for a ban of Muslim countries or anything like that.
I know.
All
I know
I
you're
am,
not.
all I am pointing out, the only thing I'm observing here
Mhm.
is that in the Middle East, there are a lot of cultures that have really bad views, and we don't want that over here. And I think it is okay to be concerned or have fear even of that as something that will
I mean, you
mess
can look
us
at
up.
destabilized countries and judge Muslims by like, but how come you didn't bring up fucking any of the UAE, no Dubai, nothing? You could have even slightly brought in Lebanon for a little bit. Their government's not doing great, but the people are fine and free.
Not every Muslim country has this issue.
I know. So it's like
the Islamists, the Muslim
I know
extremists that have
it's
this
not
issue.
the Mexicans that are the problem, it's the cartels. I get that. I know, but I'm just saying, like, it's either the people are a monolith and we don't know who the people are, right? So like, if we don't know who the Islamists are, because no one's just gonna try to come to this country as saying I'm an Islamist. They're gonna come here like covertly. Hence, the gang people that come here like covertly. The people come here covertly if they're trying to do fucked up shit.
Salman Rushdie and his issue.
I think you told me like this last time. There was like one terrorist attack, something. I don't know.
No, I mean, like, this is they declared a fatwa on him in the 89, 88 issue, but he was in England, and in England you had fire bombings of bookstores that held his books. He got stabbed. Okay, he got stabbed, almost lost his life, and this was 20 years after the fatwa was declared. This was a few years ago. This is a problem. It is something that will affect us. Look at Charlie Hebdo. What happened in France, where Muslims came in and just gunned down those comic book those comic.
Yeah, and what happened in America when they tried that? Texas held a Drum Muhammad fucking contest, and then when the people showed up, they got gunned down. They learned the lesson. Nothing happened again. Like, yes, terrorist attack happens. I don't want to be the guy. Like, yes, minority groups have issues. Hold up, wait. In America, I'm less afraid of any of the terrorists, but I'm more afraid of like a 14-year-old white kid shooting up a school.
That's also bad, and
I know it's also bad, but like,
but that we need to address,
so like,
and we
I know,
need to
so
stop.
Like,
Yes.
what do we? But like, once again,
we should be concerned about, that we should have fear over, that we should take action to prevent. Yes.
Yeah.
So why can we say that about white people and white issues?
No.
But if I say something about Islamists, you're suddenly,
we can say that because nothing's going to happen. We're
this,
focusing more on the Islamists. That's why we can say that. No, but we don't. Apparently, we don't care about white kids shooting up schools. I never hear shit about it.
That's all we fucking talk about. At least on my view,
we need to take it account. It's like, no one.
Well, there are certain precautions that have been taken. Like, so since 9/11, we got Homeland Security. Now we have to have our shoes taken off when we're going through checkpoints and everything else. Same thing goes with school shootings. Now kids have to wear bulletproof backpacks and have active shooter drills. Like, as Wick is saying, we take precautions for the fears and the things that are presented over time.
What are the precautions of Islamism other than banning Islam or eventually kicking in the Muslims? I need to hear what would be the prevention of these terrorists coming when it's like the last terrorist attack, people flew over.
They were already in the country. They trained in the country. And this is part of the issue, which is why it's a little bit more terrifying. And I have nothing against Islam per se.
I know you don't.
But where I see in certain aspects of the book or in the teachings is that you need to lie to the people that you're at war with. You need to fit in and do whatever it takes to be able to do the thing. Exactly. Yeah. So when you have that mentality, it's very difficult to screen for because they're going to lie to you. But I would hope there would be some screening process to keep certain ideas out.
You can't. Okay, this is a book. This is a book written when like they were at war with pagans. And this is like you got to take the context, not only with the time, but like with the matter. Like, yes, there were people that they were at war with. And if you were at war with people, you're not going to sit here and give them the benefit of the doubt and be honest and truthful. You're trying to win the war. So like, I can understand that in the book, in the teachings, but then like, I'm going to sit here and point to you the city of Dearborn, where there's a lot of Muslims, the largest mosque. People are pretty Muslim, man. Girls are wearing scarves out of choice. I promise you. They look good. They're looking good too. Now, in this book of teachings, why am I not seeing any terrorists? Like I can see some people who are a little bit strict in their religion, but so fucking be it. Like each to each their own. There are strict Christians, there are strict Jews, there are strict pagans, whatever it may be. I got nothing. But like once again, my issue is not that you guys have an issue with Islam or that you're judging Muslims. None of these things. My issue is that the rhetoric that comes from Islam being a threat to the West is one, no one knows what a Muslim is because the majority of Muslims are Indian and Indonesian. They're not even Arab.
Okay,
But Arabs, no. Arabs are it becomes what's a Muslim, and then it just becomes Arabs. It's just an attack on brown people. We pick the brown countries. We go, well, these people, we don't like these people and their cultures. That's literally what happens.
This idea of, oh, look at the rhetoric. Look at how closely it mimics what happened to the Jews in the Holocaust.
Yep.
This is something conservatives tell me when they're complaining about what we're saying about Trump and what we're saying about other conservatives. Oh, you said the same thing about the Jews. You're wanting to round us up. There are conservatives who literally believe the leftists are going to round them up because we're
no one's
using this
rounding up
rhetoric.
white people in America, bro. We're definitely going to listen. Muslims and Arabs
There are conservatives who
definitely
literally
more likely
believe
to
that.
be rounded up in this country before white people. Because when I bring out,
I'm saying your argument about its rhetoric sounds the same just doesn't.
It doesn't.
With me.
It doesn't sound the same.
No, because
it
again,
doesn't?
the same
What was the
argument
rhetoric
that you're
against the Jews?
making, I've heard made by conservatives to say, look at how bad
what was
the
the rhetoric
left's
against the
rhetoric
Jews?
against conservatives are.
What was the rhetoric against the Jews?
The rhetoric,
they're
I
taking
understand
over the world. Their book is
that
bad.
they're taking over.
They lie.
Is basically they're taking over industries. They're controlling the media. Like there are certain things against Jews that are never said against Muslim people, and so it's not necessarily the book. So I don't hear anybody complaining about
Coming in,
Jews
trying to
and the
institute
Torah.
Sharia law. Coming in, trying to institute Sharia law. Living, we collect money like it's crazy. We have oil money. Yeah, we're coming in. Our book says this. Our book promotes this. Our book promotes that. It's the same rhetoric.
Just as people saying that, look at the leftists are saying that the conservatives are trying to steal the election, to overthrow our democracy, that they're going to institute Christian nationalism all across America. This is what the leftists are saying about us. It's the same thing. Like, this comparison just doesn't hit.
We're a micro percentage of people, man. I think you guys like that. There's a difference. There's a clear difference. You can stop the problem with the Islamism now. You can't stop the Christian nationalism problem. It's a Christian country.
Here's the deal, and I'll end on this because we do have to go. And I want to thank you both for your time. I'm going to give you guys closing thoughts on this. I'm going to let you shout out your stuff, and I want you all to go following it. But here's my closing thoughts. First of all, if you've enjoyed this content, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. $2 from Face to say this is great wick. Well, gang, if you like this content, you got to give me more money. We need more subs. We need more donos. We need more super chats. I need to eat. So thank you for that. We got some great shows coming up. Tomorrow we're going to be talking about the state of the race. We're going to have Hutch on. We're going to have Quinn on, which you heard earlier. We're going to have Daniela Pensac on. We're going to have Admiral Gibbs. It's going to be fun. It's going to be great. You should tune in. It'll be fun. But as for this topic, I think that overall, this performative activism is a problem, not just within the pro-Palestinian community, but within all communities. I think that activism as a style, as a way of doing things, has become a means into of itself. The ends are to be an activist rather than to actually solve the problem, get things done. And you have this playing out in the pro-Palestinian movement right now. We see a purity spiral, as was mentioned earlier, that is just becoming worse and worse and worse and worse. And they are doing activisms for activism's sake, not necessarily to solve the problem. That's my thoughts. I want to thank everyone here for coming through and talking with this, and I hope it was a decent discussion. I hope you guys had fun. We're going to give the mic to LetheWaterKai first, and then we're going to let Ali have the last word. So LetheWaterKai, go ahead. Tell people what your thoughts are. Where can they find you? And then we'll pass it off to Ali, please.
Thanks for having me on, Wick. I've been wanting to come on for quite some time, and I appreciate the opportunity. I am definitely pro the Palestinian struggle, definitely anti-Zionist. I am not anti-Israel itself or anti-Jew, but we all have our own struggles, and we don't need to let these powers cause harm throughout the world. We can all come together and get this thing done. We can make a way for everyone. And I'm glad we were able to have this conversation. I think it was a great way to brainstorm the ideas and see what's going on. And I agree with Wick pretty wholeheartedly that a lot of activism is performative and it is for people's egos to stroke themselves. It's just pretty much masturbation. Is bullshit. So yeah, catch me anytime. LetheWaterKai on all platforms. I'll be having a panel tomorrow. Catch me whenever you can. Appreciate you.
Check him out, gang. Thanks for coming. And his link should be in my description. You click on that link, you give him a follow, you give him a sub. Thank you. Ollie, please, last word.
All right, thanks for having me on Prime. Wick, jeez, I'm so
Holy
used
shit.
to being.
Okay.
I'm so used to
I don't
being
know
on
if we
Prime
get
panels.
to look. First
I'm
of
gonna
all,
apologize.
Does that give me the? Does that give me? Hey, Lethe, you'll be able to tell me. Does that give me the pass? Do I get the
Yeah, for all
pass?
black everything.
I mean, for all black.
Can I be on all
everything,
black everything now? Okay.
You
Anyway,
just gotta go on the show and say I'm Prime.
Please go on.
I was on yesterday and we were talking about this today, so like I brought it. I introed it today. But thank you for having me on so much, man. Once again to my community, like I said, he came on a little bit to potentially disagree, and even at the ending was like, hey, listen, I stand with the Palestinian cause. It's time for our community to show a little humility, take a step back, apologize, and like moving forward, show some solidarity. I think important conversations like these are important. But when it comes to activism, I do agree that a lot of people run with the cause and then they take the cause over because it comes with money and fame. So activists, I'm not really necessarily a big fan of. So I've always been like, hold the people accountable, but hold the cause higher than the people, because the cause is what's important. The people aren't. Thank you for having me on. I go by Sociologic, 2 L's, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube. Follow me on everything. Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming. And gang, give him a follow as well. Make sure that you support the people who come on my channel. I really appreciate it. Ironically, Prime is going to be on my show tomorrow about the state of the race, so that's funny. But yeah. Gang, who's still streaming? LetheWaterKai, are you streaming tonight?
No, not streaming tonight.
Okay, well,
just hanging out.
I'll let you decide who we're rating into.
Who we got? Check.
I reserve veto privileges on this, by the way.
I mean, you got good old Admiral Gibbs, who is.
Are we going there?
Always awesome.
Gibbsy's great.
Okay, we'll raid into Admiral Gibbs. Let him know that this is a hate raid. Gang, I love you all. And I will talk to you tomorrow, 6 p.m. Eastern. Check us out. I hope you enjoyed the show. Love you all.
See you then, wait.
Bye.